and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined by my two rather spooky co-hosts. To my right, it is the one, the only, the Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And to my left, it is our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
Boo.
And behind the computer, jerking his own gherkin as always, it is Bruce, the tugboat.
What's up?
Put that little camera on so we can see your fucking little hoodie.
The little camera so we can see your little gherkin.
Look at him. Look at him.
Gabagoo.
Look at him.
Gabagoo.
Happy Italian Heritage
You know what you
Month.
look like? Did you ever see the movie Young Frankenstein? There was a guy named Marty Feldman.
Oh, with the
his
hood
name
up.
was Igor.
Yeah, it's him.
Remember
It does look
Igor?
like- yeah, it's him.
Yes, Igor.
Fucking Igor now.
We need to get a picture of Igor and put it on our soch there.
Shout out to Jack. Welcome to the chat. Okay, I was shocked by one thing this weekend. I realized we are already a month of the way through the season. This was week 5. That feels like we just started, doesn't it?
Yep.
It looks exactly like you. It looks exactly like
Shout out to
you.
Igor.
Igor.
Oh my God, it does look like Bruce.
That's Bruce. Hi.
If anybody needs to search Igor,
Everybody needs to search Igor.
I'm not even high.
Marty Feldman.
Now
That's
I'm-
Bruce,
now I'm
but he's high with
now
his
I'm
little hoodie on.
Palpatine.
We're about a third of the way through the season, and
Wild.
if we blow through the slate fast enough, which we never do, if we blow through the slate fast enough, I have a quick segment at the bottom on going over the playoff picture and seeing if we can do like some third season projections right now.
we're gonna do our best to get there today.
We won't.
We probably won't. But
We
we're gonna
won't.
do our best.
Be fine.
How was everyone's weekend? Uncle Sam, how was your weekend?
Living the dream.
That's it. Anything? High points, low points,
Yeah, I
pits,
worked.
peaks.
I worked. All of the above.
I heard you got a new cat.
I do.
Do you have a name?
The kids gave him a name, but I don't remember it. I call him Loco because he runs around and terrorizes all the other cats.
So there's Gadito, there's Loco,
Hold on.
right. There's Mr. Cat,
I'm gonna look like Emperor Palpatine.
Mr. Cat,
Mr.
That's
Cat,
worse.
and Shelly and Francis.
Shelly. The cat count is now Shelly, Francis, Gadito, Mr. Cat, and Loco.
Did you hear that, Sarah? Uncle Sam's got 2 cats, 3, 4,
Five
5
cats.
cats.
5 whole
Five,
cats.
Sarah.
Five
Five
Five.
too many.
5 cats.
I'm sorry?
It's about 5 too many.
No, it's not.
Dogs are better.
I'm sorry?
Dogs.
Listen,
are
my
better.
wife has dogs and she likes the cats better. Yeah.
I feel
That's
like
all.
cats are easier.
Are you kidding me? At one time we had squirrels, rabbits, skunks, groundhogs, turkeys.
Cats will eat you if you die. Dogs won't.
I'm sorry?
He says that cats will eat you when you die.
Yeah.
Like if you're dead.
I couldn't get that fucking lucky.
Zolo, how was your weekend?
It was strong.
Pits, peaks.
Trying to think, did I do anything Friday? I don't think I did. I didn't do anything Friday. I had a party Saturday night. Played pickle, of course. Saturday morning it was cold, and then I went to the football game yesterday.
So, real quick from you two, what was the atmosphere like in Ford Field yesterday? Before we get into the game.
Not as good as the first two, but it had its moments. Did you saw Eminem was there? Everyone
I did
was
see
there.
Eminem was there.
Everyone was there. Devin Booker came for warm-ups, then went across the street and dropped 12 points in 15 minutes on the Pistons. Eminem was there. Isaiah Thomas was there. Jalen Rose, Kelvin Johnson. It got really, surprisingly loud for Eminem, and then he reciprocated. He showed a little emotion, too, and that was kind of neat. But it wasn't as good as the first 2 games. Still filled. Still, everyone stayed until the game was out of hand, making noise on third downs. There was a point where there was on the third and long when Bryce Young's back was against the 1. It got really loud because there was the ref was trying to say something and you couldn't hear him. But
Right after we thought it was gonna be a safety.
yeah, wasn't as loud as the first 2 games. But my theory at the moment is. Not only if they split, but if they somehow take the next 2, which they're 2 tough games, we'll get into that. If they take the next 2, that Monday night game going into the bye, going for 7-1, has a chance to be special in terms of noise.
Oh, I think 100%.
Because it'll set if they're 6-1 going into a primetime game at night at home, it's going to be
Halloween.
it'll be feral.
The crazies will be out.
Yeah, Devil's Night. It's a Detroit tradition.
Absolutely. So should we get right into it? Let's discuss the game a little bit further. Lions beat up on the Carolina Panthers at home, 42-24. Carolina did put up 14 in the fourth quarter there and some garbage time points, but the Lions handled them pretty well. Uncle Sam, any thoughts?
None. They played a complete game.
So
They played a complete game. I don't have any complaints except for the third quarter kind of disappearance, if you want to call it that.
yeah, so there were no points scored in the third
to
quarter.
me, this is where they're at right now, and I think they play 3 solid quarters, and they kind of take one to where they're still trying to figure out their identity. Where I think, really good football teams, if they're up as big as the Lions were, they put that foot on their neck on the third quarter and just step on it and rub their foot in it. That's what they need to start doing. They're not doing that yet, but I think they're headed in that direction. They did pretty good being undermanned because they were. Without St. Brown, he's the guy that makes their offense really click,
Right.
And I thought they played well without him. David Montgomery is everything I thought he was going to be. I personally think, as of right now, outside Jared Goff, he's probably the MVP.
So, yeah, David Montgomery's line from yesterday, 19 rushes for 109 yards and a touchdown. And actually, Craig Reynolds got involved, too. 7 rushes for 52 yards and a touchdown.
Did you see when Reynolds got into the end zone? Did you see what happened?
I did.
Apparently, there's going to be all 22 video of it, but David Montgomery did a full sprint from the bench to run and go in the end zone. He was on the bench, and he went to go give Craig Reynolds a hug in the end zone when he got in. He came from like the 50-yard line into the end zone, which was very neat to see.
Jared Goff, 20 for 28, 236, and 3 touchdowns. So I want to piggyback off of what you said just a little bit. Before we get in, I know everyone's patiently waiting for Zolo's 5 things, so I'll keep this brief. But right now, I watched a lot of football this weekend and actually focused in. Right now, I think the Lions are the 3rd best team in the NFC, without question, and I think there's a gap between them and everybody else. First and foremost, their offensive line yesterday looked very, very nice. They were able to run the ball. I thought Goff had a lot of time. They played very well. Defensively, I think they control the line of scrimmage the entire game. I get it. They're going up against Carolina, but Carolina was not able to run the ball at will like they were able to last year against this team. Bryce Young looked extremely uncomfortable, and due to the fact that they couldn't run the ball, Bryce Young had to drop back for 41 attempts. You're not going to win football games that way, okay? Bryce Young is as green as they come right now, and you can't rely on him to throw the ball 40-plus times in a game. But right now as it stands, I think this team it proved a lot to me yesterday. Without Amon-Ra St. Brown, okay? And I don't know what happened with Gibbs because I feel like that was a very late scratch. I wasn't really expecting them to scratch him. Either way, yesterday gave me a ton of confidence. I get it. Carolina's winless. They're probably only going to pull out a game or 2 this year. But that gave me a lot of confidence because this team stomped on them last year. Stomped on them. Zola, we're ready.
We want 5 things?
Let's have a day.
5 things for week 5 for a 4-1 Lions team. Thing number 1, Uncle Sam, agree to disagree on the complete game thing, and I will get to that. But thing number 1 is that the Lions took care of business yesterday. Historically, over the last 10 or 15 or so years, or over this era of Lions football that is slightly improved, the post 0-16 era, they'll have a game like this where they'll be red hot, and then a rookie quarterback will come into town and light them up, or a tight end will drop 200 yards on them, or they'll have a bunch of injuries and they'll lose the game because of it.
I remember when Matt Ryan came in here as a rookie and ass raped him, opening game of the year. And you're laughing right now. You know who else ass raped them? Opening game of their
Sam
career?
Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
I remember
remember
that
football.
game.
So
We were
was
at
I.
that game.
It started with a Quandre Diggs pick 6,
Yep.
and then it ended
Yep.
with Sam
And
Darnold
it
bending him
ended
over.
with Sam Darnold fisting, who was the coach at that time?
That was Patricia's first game, if I
Matt
remember.
Patricia?
And then he traded Quandre
Fisting Matt
Diggs not long
Patricia's
after
giant bunghole.
So yeah, this was I wouldn't call it a complete game, but they took care of business. We could have been on the ropes. It's a team that you didn't take care of business against last year, and it cost you a playoff spot.
Well, they're a different team now. You can't even compare them to that team they were last year because basically Darnold's gone. Their running back, their main bell cow running back, is in Chicago, not even playing.
It's nice to know that when they have games they're supposed to win right now, and that could change, they're winning them. And it goes back to one of the reasons I was really high on the Lions this year was their depth. Like you said, we'll get to the injuries, but there were injuries and guys stepped up no matter what. One of the reasons guys stepped up yesterday, that leads us to thing number 2. I don't know why when I'm on the spot to try and like blow through things really fast, I start talking fast and fumbling on my words and have no clue what I'm saying. I have mini strokes like Joe Biden and like Mitch McConnell. And I just got to slow down. It's Victory Monday and I'm just so excited. Thing number 2. Ben Johnson painted a Rembrandt yesterday.
I agree with that 1,000%.
To the point where there's so many clips floating around on TV and on social media right now of things that Ben Johnson did yesterday. Shit, that triple reverse flea flicker got done on the Sunday night game afterward.
Yeah.
They ran it with Kittle. The 49ers ran it with Kittle. I mean, that was impressive in person. But the one that stood out was there was a play where Goff was like, he was motioning something, and Ragnow directly snapped the ball through Goff's legs. Did you see this?
Yes.
He snapped it through Goff's legs directly to David Montgomery on like a 3rd and long in the red zone, and Montgomery took it to like the 5 or 6 yard line, and they got a first down. Ben Johnson's play calling, it was bad week 1, I thought. It was lackluster. Week 2, they dropped 30-some points, so I can't complain. It's just gotten better every game, and he's going to be gone. It's fine. We need to enjoy this while we can. But one of the reasons why the Lions are able to buck the injuries on offense is because they're so good with the play calling and so creative, and the offense is just prepared every week, and they have the ultimate quarterback to run these plays. He does everything that Ben Johnson asks of them, and that was one of his best games. I think that was the best Ben Johnson game yesterday, and we're lucky to have him here. Enjoy him while you can.
Listen, enjoy it. I, on the other hand, I don't think Ben Johnson's a stupid guy, and I think Ben Johnson wants to go to a team that, if he does decide to leave here, I don't think he wants to go to a total nightmare.
I agree,
because then that makes it harder on him. I think he'll wait his shot and wait to get the perfect scenario for him. I mean, because if you're a young coach like he is right now, and you're forced to go where? New England?
It won't be there.
Carolina? You know, at least Carolina's got some young pieces.
Hold on. He would have gotten the Carolina job. He turned them down.
Correct.
Right.
He turned them down because he's
now you
from
kind of
there.
see why.
He's from there, and he's like, I could have had pick one. And he's from Carolina. He grew up there. He went to school there, but he turned that job down to do because something's brewing here. But I'll give you the scenario that makes the most sense for Ben Johnson, one that I love. The Raiders land pick 1, are in line for Caleb Williams, and need a new head coach. I think the Raiders would make a ton of sense.
Go to the New England Patriots.
I don't think they're going to fire that guy until he passes Shula.
Yeah.
They have roster issues. That's a whole. We'll get there. Mac Jones is the problem.
I don't know about it being issues. It looks like to me Bill's lost everybody. The locker room, the front office, everything.
Okay, so thing number 3, and I was able to find a handful of bad things yesterday. Thing number 3, and it's beginning to become a trend. It's a narrative. The Lions' offensive woes in the third quarter continued. They set up a scoring drive that they scored at the beginning of the fourth quarter that started in the third quarter, but they came out and they were flat in the third quarter again. It wasn't a 3-and-out, and there was improvement, but they keep having this persistent problem of issues coming out of the locker room, and most of the time they end up with the ball. They didn't last week in Green Bay, but they end up with the ball in the third quarter, and they haven't been able to make anything of it. And it's slowing down the next stepping a little bit. It's throwing.
That's where the good teams used to put teams away. You watch, and I don't mean to harp on this, but if you go back and watch the New England Patriot dynasty era, when did New England come out and really put it together?
They would separate. They would
Usually
separate
it
in
was
the
the
third
third
quarter.
quarter.
They would separate in the third quarter, and then the starters would be out by the fourth quarter. You get
I don't
Brian
think any
Hoyer
team
or
was
whoever.
better than New England at scoring at the end of the half and then coming out that third quarter and putting another one on the board to put games out of reach.
I agree with you, and this is an issue because if it persists, it'll bite you in the ass. You can lose a game in the third quarter. In fact, that's kind of what happened
playing
against
a good
Seattle.
team.
Against,
That is
against
exactly what
Seattle,
happened against Seattle.
you had the fumble. I think the pick six was in the fourth quarter, but you had the fumble against Seattle, like the second play out of the gate, and you lost the lead. You had a lead going in, and then you lost the lead all of a sudden. So that needs to be cleaned up. That's an area that I'm looking for this team. I'm looking for, and it's not the defense, because what's happening is the defense backs against the wall in the third quarter, and they're able to play their way through it. It just so happens last week they kind of had a bad third quarter defensively but they were up 27-3 at the half, so it's different. Regardless, they need to fix the third quarter woes on offense. They need to not come out of the half stagnant. I want a nice touchdown drive. That's what I'm looking for in Tampa. I want to see the Lions with their first offensive possession in the third quarter. I want to see them score a touchdown on Tampa on Sunday. Thing number 4, it's another semi-negative that people have been harping on for a few days now. It's Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think people have been very hard on both of them. I don't know what happened with Gibbs. It sounds like he's okay. It was a late hamstring injury. J-Mo had a drop yesterday, but he played almost 50% of the snaps, and I can tell you that one of the ways you crack it as a wide receiver in this league is if you're able to block. It's the reason why things aren't working with Marvin Jones right now. It's the reason why they moved on from Marvin Mims and why they've moved on from what was his name? Denzel Mims, the guy that they signed from the Jets. Denzel Mims. It's one of the reasons the Lions like to move on from receivers quick is because if you can't block as a wide receiver, you're of no benefit to them because they run a lot of running plays to the outside. Case in point, where J-Mo stood out yesterday, third, fourth play of the game, whatever it was. David Montgomery has a 40-yard run for a touchdown. If you watch, J-Mo has a rep.
It was his key block that sprung him.
So he kind of, I don't want to say he lost the rep, but it was a lackluster rep at first. But then he came and he pancaked the linebacker that he was blocking, which set the edge for David Montgomery to go off for the touchdown. It was a key block, and it was one of multiple key blocks that J-Mo had yesterday. All of the receptions will come. They're trying to work him in. He will only look better with St. Brown on the field and with a loaded receiving core on the field. And he was open a couple times downfield, and he had a drop. The drops aren't great. They're uncharacteristic of J-Mo because he didn't drop the ball very often at Alabama. And he didn't, I don't know if he did it at Ohio State or not. But at Alabama, he wasn't dropping the ball at all. Eventually, they will make plays for J-Mo, and it will work, and things will be open downfield. I'm trying to talk you guys off the ledge. It's early. The guy is still in the first half of his rookie year, essentially, because he only played in 4 or 5 games last year, okay? And as for Gibbs, there are plans for him, okay? It involves a healthy offensive line, but there are plans for him. I'm disappointed we haven't seen more from Gibbs either. Yeah, of course, he's not Bijan Robinson, and we've seen rookie running backs stand out really quick, like A-Chain this year. But give it a second, guys, on both of those kids. They're both really good. When they have a full body of nothing under their belt, a full season of them doing nothing under their belt, we'll talk. But right now, I think it's a little bit early. If you want to include it in a negative, that's fine. I think that they both have a long way to go.
I understand what you're saying. It's way too early on him to decipher whether he's worth a 12th pick or not. It's way too early.
What about J-Mo? Do you think it's a little early on him?
J-Mo is a little different story. I'm going to be totally honest with you. To me, he was the best receiver in that draft that came out last year. I just haven't seen it. It hasn't translated to the pros.
Fair. And I don't disagree. And I don't disagree.
What I seen out of him in Alabama, what he did to the Georgia defense, not once, twice, I haven't seen it. Him as a pro.
I'll be honest. So far, they haven't needed him to step up. Like they haven't needed it yet.
It's beside having needed.
Well, but see,
if you're this guy, if you're this taunted guy who's supposed to give Tyreek Hill a run for being one of the fastest guys in the NFL, you need to be explosive on anything you fucking do. And you know what? I'm going to be outside of him blocking. I haven't seen shit from him, basically.
I think if we're talking, if week 8 rolls around, 8 or 9 rolls around, and we're still talking about Jameson, he only got 3 targets yesterday. If we're still
He
talking,
dropped one bad. One of them,
one of them was a dump off. One of them was an awful drop.
You know,
If we're talking about this, I'm going to give him 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If we're still talking about it like this in 3 or 4 weeks, I'll be right there with you. They've had there's so many guys right now on offense. Like, I don't think anybody expected Josh Reynolds to have the year that he's having. He's having a great year. Nobody
I don't think Josh Reynolds got the how would I put this? Last year he was banged up. He really didn't play all that well. But you had Chark here, and they were targeting him more than Reynolds.
Think Laporta's usage right now.
Well, Laporta, you know
Again.
what? At this point, let me ask you and answer honestly.
Yeah.
Do you really want to take reps away from Josh Reynolds or Sam Laporta right now to fucking hand this guy a couple of passes in here and there?
But
I don't want it. I don't want that.
But
I don't want them guys to have to regress because this guy's trying to catch up.
Okay. I
Fuck
agree
that-
with you.
fuck
but
that shit, dude.
I agree with you. But let's say this. All right. Those 7 rushes that Craig Reynolds got yesterday, that was pure garbage time, right? Let's take those and put those between Jameson Williams and
Well, at this point, they were doing the right thing by running the football.
correct. That's all they had to do yesterday.
I get that.
Again, they didn't need
What
him
I'm saying is, I don't want to take away reps from these guys that are fucking earning it
they're not going to have
to give it to this other guy. I don't think it's right to do that. You can't sit here and say, okay, well, you know what, Sam Laporta, and you know what, Josh Reynolds. Guess what?
That's not what I'm saying. Though.
We're gonna give a few plays in for J-Mo so he gets his hands on the balls. I don't want them to do that.
If that game was closer yesterday, I bet
they could have been in trouble with them 3 fucking garbage plays they had toward him.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if this game was closer, this game was over at halftime. If this game was closer, Jameson Williams' target share probably goes up.
I don't know.
You keyed in on something really important, and when we did a show a week and a half ago, the day J-Mo was activated, I went over this. It's really hard it's going to take a second for them to find the reps.
Right.
And it's not necessarily like Reynolds is a check down guy for Goff. That's his safety valve, okay? Laporta has worked out a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean like I'm taking your reps. What needs to happen is J-Mo needs to be on the field for meaningful snaps, and when those guys aren't open, he needs to be able to catch the ball. And conversely, when J-Mo isn't open, those guys need to be able to make plays.
Correct.
When you're winning, none of this matters. No
Correct.
receiver cares about their reps or their target share or whatever. So this isn't going to be a story until it is. Personally, I'm giving him a little bit longer. I'm probably going to give him till around Thanksgiving, which is what, a month, 5 or 6 weeks worth of games.
Yeah.
I want to see J-Mo play impactful snaps more than just blocking.
Correct.
Around then. But yeah, it's hard to take away. Like, Reynolds has made some big plays. It's not necessarily a rep coming out of Reynolds' pockets. It's who's Goff going to look for when he's got to hit the ball.
Let me give you a
downfield.
little scenario. Instead of throwing little fucking screen passes to this guy, let him go downfield. What the fuck are we doing?
And he was
I mean, that was my biggest thing with the whole thing. I didn't mind how many reps he got, but I did mind how he got them.
Yeah.
I don't want him catching a ball 3 yards deep, 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I don't want him catching bubble screens. I want him going downfield.
In fairness, there's going to be scenarios where the screen does work, but yes, when I think of Jameson Williams, I think of he's open. He's like Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
He's open downfield, and he's going to take the top off the defense. That's why you have him. In the scenarios where Goff has the time to throw and they set up play action beautifully, it's similar to that triple flea flicker yesterday. That's a play that you're going to see down the road.
Let him run downfield.
Yeah.
And Goff just fucking launch it. Don't even give a fuck where it's at. As long as it's between the left hash, the left sideline and the fucking hash, just launch one there and let him run under it. If he's as fast as everybody says he should be able to catch up with.
Do you think the lack of Jameson being there?
I think that's huge.
Right.
I think it's huge.
I think that
but
you
the
need more
best way
time
to
for
get
him.
this guy, listen.
The rapport's not there yet.
Hold on. What's the best way to get this guy involved? Ass fuck. I'm sorry. Cooper Kupp. Hold on.
I'm sure him and Jared's
Hold on.
rapport
Cooper
come up
Kupp
a lot
yesterday. I watched Cooper Kupp get thrown at so many times. The guy needed oxygen
Okay,
after the
Jameson
first two series.
Nobody's saying Jameson Williams is Cooper Kupp.
Come on. That's what we should be doing.
He's a rookie, and technically we need to look at it as it's still his first year in the league because he wasn't able to start
you know what?
practicing.
He's played against top-level guys in college. He's not a fucking rookie, dude.
Fair, but
He's not.
But
He's not.
the comparison is look at the rookie receivers that have struggled to begin this year. The top four guys. Addison's starting to come on now. Quentin Johnson hasn't done anything really.
Quentin Johnson's barely even start. He can't even get on the field.
And same with Jalen Hyatt. And then who's the fourth
can't
one?
get on the field.
I'm missing one. Zay Flowers has been okay. But think about that.
Zay Flowers had a lot of bad drops.
Those are the four guys that were drafted this year early, and they haven't really done much. But then there's the comparison, like you have Laporta, who's lighting it up better than any pass catcher, any rookie pass catcher at the moment. And then yesterday...
Yeah, because everybody thought that the Kincaid was going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And look what Laporta's done to him.
And same with Michael Mayer. Same drill.
Yeah. Mayer didn't get drafted till later. These guys went before Mayer.
And then the counter is Tank Dell has been okay in Houston. And then yesterday I saw Jonathan Mingo get more than a few snaps. And Marvin Mims has started to stand out a little bit in Denver.
You notice that Mingo's a very sturdy customer. When he catches the ball, he is not a guy that goes down very easy. They really had to put some wood to him to put him on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still one more thing to talk about. The fifth thing is next man up has worked for the Lions so well this year. They've been very good at it.
They've been lucky.
It's because they're deep. Same drill. Jonah Jackson left in a walking boot yesterday. It's tender right now. You might not get him on Sunday. Well, guess what? Graham Glasgow, which was an excellent signing, one of the most underrated signings, has filled in beautifully for Vaitai, and you're going to get Vaitai back probably next week. You're all set on the offensive line.
When I said Vaitai could have played this week, they chose to.
And they held him out, exactly.
Let him sit.
And it's the same with
and
Brian
you know
Branch.
what? They have that luxury right now of having the depth.
They do.
And they were at home. They had the luxury of letting him sit and rest. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
So
dude.
it's not just
gonna keep
Vaitai,
them
though.
deep.
It's not just Vaitai. It's Brian Branch, who didn't practice, but you might get him back this week. And the safeties have been excellent to cover up for it.
I wouldn't rush.
If you told me they were going to drop 42 without Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gibbs yesterday, I'd be like, fuck you. Well, guess what? They did. They had no issue doing that too. It's next man up. Obviously, you lost Emmanuel Mosley, which
you know what? I'm tired of people calling for Jerry Jacobs' head. That's bullshit.
He's been
great. That guy's been a baller since the beginning of the year.
Even if Mosley didn't tear his other ACL yesterday, Jacobs still would have been CB2 for the rest of this year. He still would have been the second corner no matter what.
He's the guy.
He's been good. He's gotten better every year. Now this is a great test coming up this week with the Bucks because you got a couple receivers that like to get downfield. But regardless, Jacobs has been outstanding. I'm not arguing that. And it's just a test to how good this team is. As next man up, it's worked. No matter what, you feel comfortable. I mean, Goff would be the exception, but you feel comfortable with whoever is behind the starter or whoever is injured. You feel comfortable with what's gonna take its place, and it's worked so far. You know, since all these big injuries, we're looking at 4-1 right now.
Can I make a hot take right here?
Please.
I think that the Lions could be 8-1 going into Thanksgiving. And I'm actually confident in saying
I don't think that's a big stretch.
They
really
play
don't.
an extra game. They play one more game. It would be
through the Chargers game. That's all I have in front of me.
Yeah. Okay, through the Chargers game.
Chargers.
Which you know who they play after the Chargers?
No.
The Bears at home.
Okay, so they could be 9-1 going into Thanksgiving.
Possibly.
Okay, because I'll be honest, and I don't want to jump too far ahead here because I know we're going to talk about this game probably a lot on Friday because I'm sure we have some opinions on it. I think that I don't think Tampa is the Tampa will give them a better game than Carolina did.
This is, I believe, and I'm not going to sugarcoat. This will be their test right here because they're going against a top, almost a top 10 defense.
Okay,
I think that's going to be a test.
I think they win that game. We'll talk about the Ravens here in a minute. Ravens haven't done anything for me.
Baker Mayfield's been gritty. They're in fucking first place, dude.
Dude, come on.
What?
Come on.
They're in first place in their division.
Listen. They're going to struggle. They, as in the Lions, have a chance to struggle in this game and the next one. That's his point right now.
Okay.
But it's an if at this point.
Baltimore is going to give them a good game. But I think watching Baltimore, I think the Lions match up incredibly favorable against Baltimore. Incredibly favorable. I think that Monday night, I think they'll do what they did yesterday, Monday night against the Raiders here at home, under the lights. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere at Ford Field. And then I think that the Chargers might not have a head coach by then. So I'm not really worried. I think then they play the Bears before Thanksgiving. And I mean, my God.
They have 4 divisional games coming up here real quick. They've only played 1 division game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, their next divisional game is
and look damn good. And it's arguably on paper out of the 6 divisional games.
Division games are going to be tougher because we're going to be well into the season.
Okay, fair.
These guys are going to work out their quirks.
There's no working
them
out
games
the quirks.
might not be as easy as what people think.
Fair, but on paper, if you're ranking the toughness of the divisional games, the 6 games, which game is the toughest of the 6?
At Lambeau, which they already won.
At Lambeau, which they already won. That's the hardest one. Chicago might be tough this year because it's their only outdoor cold weather game is at Chicago. It's in December. But then you have Chicago at home. Minnesota, the way it's going right now,
it's indoorsy regardless. Yeah. I don't think they have an issue.
And it's a place that they should have won last year. It's a place that they dominated Minnesota the last time they played them. You get them at home to end the year.
They should have had them twice last year.
And they have the Lions have one of the best records within their own division over the last 2 years. They've been
and this
strong.
Is all we need them to do is win their division. These little games, beating Carolina, beating
Tampa,
beating Atlanta, beating these other teams who are good because they were in the same conference, which becomes good later on. As far as a playoff picture goes, you have the tiebreaker on all these guys. So I don't think winning these games is not a bad thing. Would they go into Tampa?
No, winning
Tampa,
is not bad.
That's a plus for us. Because one of those teams are going to win their division. We're going to have the breaker on all those teams.
And I want to have a good conversation on NFC South because I agree with that.
Correct.
And you're playing one of those teams, and one of those teams is going to win the division. You've already beat one of them. You already beat Atlanta. You got to go to New Orleans, which could be tough. But regardless, I'm with you. This is a tough game this week. They're favored, by the way. The Lions are favored. I think they're opening up as -3.5 or -3. I don't know what it is. I know a lot of people going to the game. Sam is going to the game.
I'll be there.
A ton of people are going, so it's going to be a favorable crowd, in my opinion.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it's not a tough team. That defense is playing stout.
Yes.
And that offense is kind of hemming and hawing with Baker Mayfield. But one of the big news bits to come out of the beat writer world today is the advanced analytics favor the Lions in most of their games going forward. If they were to play any team but the 49ers, the Lions would be favored. Oh, and the Bills. They wouldn't be favored against the Bills. In DVOA, the Lions...
That's a toss-up.
That's a toss-up there.
I think they beat the Bills. They should have beat them on Thanksgiving last year
beat
with
them
the
last
lesser
year.
team. In DVOA, which is a major advanced metric stat to measure defenses, the Lions are third. The Niners are obviously first. And the Lions have beaten other teams on the other side of DVOA. They've beaten better teams than the Niners have. The Niners have played some good teams, like the Cowboys yesterday, but they also played team 29 and 32. The Lions have played team 31 and 32, but 3 of the Lions' wins were against top 10 teams in defensive efficiency. So there's a reason they're going to be favored in a lot of these games. If they win this week, if they pull it off this week, they're going to be favored going into Baltimore, which I would have never imagined.
Yep.
And yeah, you can. I don't want to jump ahead. I don't want to jump ahead past this week, but yeah, you could start to talk about a lot if they
Listen,
win
if
the
they
next
go
two.
down to Tampa and punch them in the mouth, and I mean win convincingly and look good doing it, I think they'll be favored in that Baltimore game easily.
Can I be honest? Right now, for me personally, I think the Tampa game is more of a trap game than the Baltimore game.
By far.
I do too.
By far.
Not even
They're
close.
playing way better football. Tampa's only loss was to the Eagles, and they didn't look great against the Eagles, and I don't think the Eagles are that great, but that's the defending NFC champion.
Correct.
So it matters.
5-0.
They're 5-0.
Yeah.
And that's Tampa's 3-1, and that's their lone loss. Like, that matters.
Now just remember that. They're 5-0. 49ers are 5-0. How do they match up with those two teams?
The Lions?
The Lions. I think the Lions have a fighting chance against Philadelphia. And I think if they play the 49ers right now, they'd get absolutely waxed.
Really?
Absolutely ran out of the building.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know about that.
You asked me
I think they could. I think they could do things to give 49ers fits.
I don't think the Niners would wax the Lions. I think
I don't either.
A gun to my head,
You know
the
why?
Niners
Because
win that
Look at
game.
it this way. Even look yesterday. If you look at what what the
Can we
with
wait to
Dallas?
talk about that game when
Okay.
that game comes up?
That's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah. The one bright point of Dallas, the only thing they had was they held McCaffrey in check. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. They held McCaffrey in check when they didn't need to use McCaffrey anymore and put in some guy.
Doesn't matter when your quarterback threw 3 picks. Go ahead.
Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about. Are we
3
good on
straight
the lines?
drives.
I'm good.
We're good. Anything to add over there? Okay. You have anything else to add on the Lions?
Bruce, I'm sure, was high as fuck. And
I don't get high for the games, man.
so what did you do?
I drink Modelo's.
Oh, so you were drunk instead of
Modelo's
high?
and Miller Lite. No, I wasn't drunk.
You were drunk
had a
instead of
few
high?
beers.
That's perfect. Were you swaying?
No,
You swaying one way?
no.
Joey was swaying the other
wasn't
way?
Swaying either.
Huh?
Joseph wasn't swaying.
No, he was sober?
He's sober.
Really?
Right?
Was his girlfriend there or wife, whatever she is?
She was there.
Oh, so that's why she held him in check. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. He needs it.
Wait, you still drink Modelo?
Yeah.
Oh.
I love Modelo's.
My buddies out west love Modelo. That's like the only thing that's the only thing they drink is Modelo.
Yeah, but I
Shout out to Steve.
Dude,
I'm
Rigo
shocked.
got me hooked.
Yeah, but I'm shocked you drink it.
Is he Mexican? Is Rigo Mexican or no?
No.
Yeah, makes sense.
What?
I'm shocked you would drink an Anheuser-Busch product.
It's a Mexican product.
Yeah, but it's owned by Anheuser-Busch.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Are you sure about that?
Positive about that.
Sure about
Anyways,
that?
moving on.
Anheuser-Busch owns Modelo?
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Are you serious?
Sure about
Did
that?
not know that.
Absolutely. Just saying.
Bud Light. Go ahead.
Anyways, moving on.
One beer in America.
So we only have one more London game after this. Luckily, Jacksonville took on Buffalo at was that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and Jacksonville came out on top, 25-20. Couple quick thoughts from this game. I thought Jacksonville looked really, really good yesterday. I thought the offense actually looked like we expected it to. I was very happy with that. I thought Trevor Lawrence looked nice. Etienne had a beautiful game, 26 for 136 and 2 touchdowns. That's what we were That's what I was expecting from Jacksonville's offense all year. Okay, this
But
is what I wanted
you
to see.
said you made the call before this game even started. The Bills could be run on, and they showed that. Jacksonville showed that yesterday.
Absolutely, the Bills could be running
Yeah.
and they can't run the ball. Yesterday, their leading rusher was Josh Allen, 4 rushes for 14 yards. Again, that one-dimensional aspect of the Bills is eventually going to be their downfall this season. That's beside the point. Buffalo was able to stay in the game. Stephon Diggs had a very nice game, 8 for 121 and a touchdown. Gabe Davis, 6 for 100 and a touchdown. And Josh Allen, 27 of 40 for 359, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. But again, the Achilles heel of this Buffalo's team is that they're just too one-dimensional. Now, I want to give Jacksonville some credit here. Jacksonville came out and looked really good early in this game, in my opinion. Buffalo, on the other hand, kind of looked like
shit.
Miami did
The
against
3 and
them.
outs. I was like, they were flat.
And you want to know something? I was thinking about this. The fact that Jacksonville got to play there last week and stay there is actually
that's huge.
That's a
I think that's
huge
huge.
advantage. The more I thought about it,
Yeah.
Jacksonville's completely acclimated to being there, whereas Buffalo, yeah, they may have been there for 5 days, 4 or 5 days, but they're still not in that. You're not into that zone. Whereas Jacksonville, they already did it once. They already went through it. Their bodies have already changed. All the above. I think that was a huge advantage to Jacksonville. I think that's why they came out quicker and stronger in this game. But I mean, Buffalo didn't really look bad. That Stephon Diggs thing at the end, I guess he's just trying to make a play. But if I'm Stephon Diggs and I think if they would have clocked it, there would have been 5 or 6 seconds left on the clock. I'm giving Josh Allen the shot to make the Hail Mary. I'm going to. I didn't love that. Outside of that, I didn't think Buffalo played an awful game, but the one-dimensional aspect, and I've been saying this all year, is going to kill them in the long run against good teams. It's just not going to work.
They came out flat. They had 3 and outs. When is the last time you've seen Buffalo have 3 and outs? They had more 3 and
Over
outs
and over and over again?
in that game yesterday than they did all season.
And don't
Except
blame
for
the turf.
possibly week 1.
Don't blame the turf. The turf's excellent in that stadium. I've been there myself.
Yeah.
I've been low on Buffalo from day one. You guys have known that.
Yep.
I think they're a wild card team at best. And I thought that, I had been I was high on Jacksonville going into the year, but I was low on Jacksonville going into the week. And I think that says a lot. If Buffalo is in a shootout, they will win. If Buffalo has to play defense, they will lose.
Yep.
And they already lost. Tre'Davious White. They lost Matt Milano yesterday
For the year.
And they're actually looking at losing. What's his face? Daquan Jones.
He's gonna
also might be out for the year as well.
But they just signed a cornerback.
Josh Norman.
Josh Norman's
back in the league?
I don't even know how long
signed
is that
Josh
for.
Norman. Yeah.
I just think their defense is not going to be good enough to keep them in games. And then again, it's the same drill. It's the same drill as watching Bryce Young try and play behind with the Lions yesterday. If Josh Allen has to force throws and play from behind,
He will throw.
he's at his worst when he doesn't have a lead and he's not controlling the game. And I thought that's what happened yesterday. They just lost control of the game. Jacksonville had it from start to finish, and that's a bad. Buffalo's got to keep an eye on that. They gotta figure out that run defense because ETN had a career day, and I don't know if it was a career day, but he was excellent yesterday. And that's a theory. You want to beat
136
Buffalo,
and 2 touchdowns.
You want to beat Buffalo. You have a solid quarterback that can hang in there in the pocket and make throws, and you got to be able to run the ball. And that's the recipe to beating the Bills, in my opinion.
I can't disagree. That they really need to get something going. The fact that they cannot run the ball too,
that's going to kill them down the stretch.
Kill them down.
When you start playing really good teams, outside of Miami, they haven't played which they caught a Miami team that was totally flat because of that big 70-point debacle they did the week before. That's the problem with Miami. But Miami bounced back yesterday, and they were fine.
Absolutely.
I'm with you.
So I think Buffalo will bounce back this week. I do. I don't think depending on who they're playing.
And good for Jacksonville, by the way. This was a good
that
one
was
for
a
Jacksonville.
huge win for
Because I thought they were good. I'm like you. I don't know about Super Bowl good, but I thought they were 12-13 win good, and they had been choking, and then they figured it out.
Yeah, and I'll say this. We said it before last week. Jacksonville needed this game more than Buffalo.
Yeah.
100%. Moving on. The Falcons headed to Houston to play the Texans. And, I was way off on this one. Sorry.
So was I.
I don't think so. I don't think we were way off on it at all.
You had it.
You picked Atlanta.
You had it. Him and I had Houston.
I picked Houston all the way in this game.
Yeah.
Houston lost 19-21, or Atlanta beat Houston 21-19. The thing is, I don't know how, but Desmond Ridder actually
learned how to play quarterback for the first time in his career.
Yesterday.
For the first time in his career, he
And
learned how to play quarterback.
This is what I was having the debate with in my head. Did Desmond Ridder miraculously figure out how to play football, or did we way overvalue Houston's defense going into this game?
No, I think he actually fucking is starting to understand how to play quarterback now.
I don't know. I don't know if I can buy in.
It's only taken a year and 2 games.
I can't give it to him after one game, but credit to them. I think Houston was Atlanta.
This is just like who? Justin Fields.
Maybe.
It's a Justin Fields scenario right now.
We need to see a bigger body of work. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So one thing that Arthur Smith did really well when he was the coach of the Titans, the offensive coordinator for the Titans, is his teams were always it's a Vrabel concept too. His teams were always really well prepared, and I just thought that the Falcons they responded to getting their asses kicked last week by being prepared for this game. They had a great game plan. Shit, Kyle Pitts was on the stat sheet yesterday.
Kyle Pitts.
We all took Houston.
I took Houston.
Oh, okay.
I didn't take Atlanta.
Oh, I thought you took
did?
Atlanta.
I thought you took Atlanta.
I thought you took Atlanta.
Yeah, Kyle
Regardless,
Pitts.
you had good things to say about this game.
Kyle Pitts was targeted 11 times. He caught 7 of them for 87 yards. Drake London, 9 targets, 6 receptions, 7.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Kyle Pitts. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah. They got him involved.
They got him involved.
About time. Either that or they're showing him off before they trade him. Drake London had a decent game.
Drake London, 6 for 78.
Obviously, after 2 rough weeks, one of them was against the Lions, of course.
What, Ritter to 329?
You want to know
Are you kidding me?
And he led him on a game-winning drive. He led him to the field goal at the end.
One that blew me away yesterday, the last 2 games actually. Jonnu Smith, the other tight end there, is on fire.
Yeah.
absolutely on fire.
Nobody's talking about it.
No, yeah, he was 6 for 67 yesterday. He did fumble a ball one time, but last week I don't have this sheet in front of me, but he had a huge game last week.
Yeah.
Wait, Uncle Sam, real quick. Chris Sala in the chat says, Uncle Sam, I saw your Week 5 picks, and props to you for picking the Steelers and Jags, heavy underdogs. Good picks. Shout out to Arab Fantasy. Shout out to Chris.
I hear you.
Shout out to Arab Fantasy. So, are we going to ridicule Houston at all for that game?
No,
yesterday?
they're still young. They weren't as prepared, and tough day for the Stroud boys. I, for one, am a Stroud boy. Tank
Sorry,
Dell,
he didn't throw for 300. It was only 249 and
249. Still, he has the longest. He has the longest streak to begin an NFL career without throwing an interception, which is amazing.
Still does.
Which is amazing.
Should have had one yesterday.
He should
The
have
guy
had one
dropped
yesterday,
it.
but I mean, it's just a hiccup. Houston still needs some pieces, and they're going to get out schemed at some point. And good for them. That's all I could say. Good for Stroud, but
This will kind of home them in too.
yeah,
It just like the Lions needed that smack in the mouth by Seattle. They needed this smack in the mouth right here.
Well, they're going to be Houston could be missing a big part of their offense next week. Because I know Tank Dell,
concussion.
he's in concussion protocol. But we gave credit to Ben Johnson the way the Lions call that game yesterday. I thought that Atlanta called a really nice game.
Yeah.
Their offense looked good. They had a little bit of trickery in there. Drake London had a passing completion. Like they looked good, and they didn't rely solely on the run game.
That's coaching, and that's why
That's
you hire
coaching.
Mike Smith, who is a good coach. He comes from a good tree. He was considered a good offensive mind, even if he looks like a pedophile. He's going to do good things there, and good for Mike Smith for same drill. And it goes back to your take at the
Bijan
beginning of the year,
Robinson's little
which is that
one-handed catch
Atlanta
at the
could be
goal
in it.
line.
Yeah.
That division is wide open.
Wide open.
I think Tampa's the front runner, surprisingly, but it's going to come down to the end. It's going to come down to how they beat up on each other. But if Atlanta can steal big games here and there, it's wide open.
The problem is right now with that division is they're all like everybody keeps pulling one out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look at what New Orleans did this week. I mean, granted, right now their opponent was awful, but like Atlanta looked really nice. Yes, like these teams are actually looking really good, and I agree. We didn't expect all of them to actually look halfway decent at points outside of Carolina, but we didn't expect 3 teams from that division to all look pretty good.
Hey, I just want to give another shout out to the chat. It's popping off right now. It looks like we have 14 viewers. I don't know if you could trust that number, like the live viewer number.
For some reason, it's always trending a little low, and because I know there's more than 4 people.
This is a high number though right now, and shout out to all you that are watching. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Also, we have one more shout out. PJ wanted me to shout you out. He said he can't wait to hear the Brock Purdy talk today.
We'll get there, PJ. Stay tuned.
I
got ammo. I got
know
a
they
full
sent me a
clip.
text yesterday.
I got a full clip. We were in the group chat with you.
Yeah.
I got 3 different texts yesterday from people saying, I cannot wait for you to talk with Uncle Sam tomorrow. I brought my boxing gloves. I brought my gun. So we'll get there. We got to get through the rest of the slate though first.
We got to get way down there. Next up, the Tennessee Titans headed to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Colts came out victorious in this one, 23-16. Real quick, Anthony Richardson went down again in this game. We had been talking about it. The guy has no regard for his own body.
He's going down like a sweet muffin.
But Minshew magic.
Luckily, they have Gardner Minshew. And I'm going to be honest, Gardner Minshew, man, I love the guy.
Let's be honest. He should be the starter.
No, he shouldn't.
Yeah, he should.
No, he shouldn't.
That's bullshit.
Gardner
Listen,
Minshew's
this other
the
guy can't
perfect
even fucking
backup.
stay in the game.
Well, because he's
He can't.
acclimated.
He can't.
How about Zach Moss?
That's what we need to talk about. Jonathan Taylor makes his comeback, and Zach Moss completely steals the show. 23 of 165 for 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, a very modest 6 for 18.
Got to talk about the extension though. He got 3 years and $42 million with 26.5 guaranteed. So something that wasn't close to getting bridged. It comes back to my
What part of the
theory.
bottle was Jim Irsay in when he decided to sign this contract with this kid? At what point,
question.
at what level was the bottle? That's all I want to know. Because he talked about sticking to his guns, and it's what these guys signed their contract for and all that bullshit. And then he fucking flew the fucking, what was it? A dolphin or an alligator out the fucking
orca.
forever.
It was an orca.
And it fucking died. It fucking died. They should have him up on charges
That's why
for killing an animal.
That's why he paid Jonathan Taylor, because the orca died. He had the
orca
money
died.
left over to pay him after the orca
Jesus
died.
Christ.
Listen,
This
this
guy-
is why. Are you ready to hear? This is why
They
he
need to
did
put him
what
in
he did.
rehab for the 13th time.
Because if you stop and you think about it, and you have a guy like Anthony Richardson,
Okay.
and you put him with a guy like Jonathan Taylor,
Okay.
that is probably one of the most dangerous and dynamic quarterback running back duos.
That are ready to go on IR at any given time.
That therein lies the issue, and that's
There's the
why he
issue.
didn't want to pay him.
There's the issue.
But I'm not going to lie. If Jonathan Taylor's going to be your guy, I mean, Zach Moss is making it really difficult, especially after having a game like yesterday, to just hand
He
the
had a good
reins
game
back
last
over to
week.
Jonathan Taylor, because he's had good games every week all year.
Yeah.
So how do you just hand the reins over?
Well, I mean, you don't. You got to get this guy acclimated in there. He's not. I bet you he's not even in game shape because he hasn't played.
It goes back to that conversation we have about all of these guys that are either coming off IR, suspension, whatever. They're going to ease them in. It's
Yeah.
going to take a second. And you'll see Jonathan Taylor eventually. And good for the Colts. They got 2 wins at this point. I think they're 2-3 for easing into it. That's nice.
So as far as Tennessee goes, here we go again. Derrick Henry.
What are we talking about Tennessee for?
Derrick Henry, 13 for 43. That's 3 yards per
That's not
carry.
on him. That defense was all over
Listen
him
to
yesterday.
me. Listen to me. Derrick Henry goes week by week.
The Titans'
week by
offensive
week.
line is utter dog shit.
DeAndre Hopkins did indeed have himself a game, though. 8 for 140
Hey,
yards.
and I don't know if you watched any of that game. My man was ripping them out of the air, dude.
Yeah.
That passes were coming to him. They were his.
He looked like he had a flashback to like 2014.
He looked like he did as a
yesterday.
Cardinal.
Yeah.
Actually, he looked like a Texan.
He looked like he did in Houston. Yeah. Tannehill, 23 for 34, 264 and a pick. I want to say right here now that this is where I think Tennessee begins the slow toboggan ride down.
At what point did they just put in a Will Levis or a?
Like let him get going, dude.
At what point do you continue to play Ryan Tannehill and do what you're doing, which is something close to nothing? I mean, they squeak out a win last week, and they had to have Derrick Henry throwing fucking touchdown passes to do it. So what are we doing here? Why is this guy still in the fucking game, dude? I mean, I'm not trying to point the finger all on him, but the offensive line is atrocious. They can't block anymore. Derrick Henry's 3 yards per carry, which isn't a bad thing. But you know what? If you don't have anybody to throw to, or you can't throw the ball downfield, this is what fucking happens.
Yeah.
Let's do Steelers-Ravens.
Next up, Baltimore headed into Pittsburgh to play the Steelers in a
Divisional matchup.
Oh, you changed it up on me. Divisional matchup instead of a divisional game. Pittsburgh came out on top of this one to, I think, a lot of people's surprise, 17-10. What's going on in Baltimore? I mean, I'm
Simple.
not going to lie.
Nobody could catch.
There was more dropped passes in that game yesterday than I've seen in a long time.
I think it was literally that simple. And shout out to Carl G, by the way. You never watched this, but shout out to Carl G. He called me wasted after that, and he was pissed. And I told
Screaming?
him there's
He
still
called
time.
you all intoxicated like he was at draft night.
Yeah, he did.
All fucking drunk, falling
He
all
did.
over the place on himself.
He
Area.
he was livid, and I said that every
That
time
video
this
is
conversation happens, I go, there's room on the Lions bandwagon because it's Carl G 313, and
Third,
just
yeah.
to spite me, he changed his name to Carl G 401 on Instagram to honor Baltimore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm pissed. He deserves to get kicked in the nuts, but I think it's as simple as the drops. Lamar's having probably one of the best starts of his career right now. He's looked great. He made that mistake in the interception in the end zone. That wasn't great, but it was. I mean, they dropped 3 touchdowns, and I saw another one with Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
It just drops. It's just that simple. I think Baltimore's a lot better than their record. That being said, there's chinks in the armor. There's a lot to look to, and that division is somehow wide the fuck open.
Wide open.
Wide open. Even Cincinnati isn't out of it.
TJ
No.
Watt, TJ Watt is a monster.
Yeah.
And if you don't fucking block him, he'll single-handedly destroy you.
Yep.
He's almost as good as his brother used to be.
So the Steelers, their defense has to be that good every
Correct, to win a game.
that they're going to win because their offense isn't going to put up north of 20 very often. Good for Pickett and Pickens. Shout out to George. You got some big points with Pickens yesterday. Pickett to Pickens will always be good if they can block. They still can't run the damn ball.
No.
They're chanting for Matt Canada too. They're chanting fire Matt Canada. By the way,
That's going to happen here, I think, pretty soon. They need another bad loss, and that'll happen. I think Jaylen Warren, now, all those rumors we heard about how he was going to be the guy, I think he's really starting to make a push. Warren, 9 for 40. That's 4.4 yards per carry. Najee Harris, 14 for 37. That's 2.5 yards per carry. And this Najee Harris thing.
kind of knew that. Listen, that Pittsburgh wasn't going to be able to run the ball on Baltimore.
Well, but it's not just Baltimore. Najee Harris, week in and week out, you never know if you can trust this guy.
No, because the week before that, he had a really good game.
He didn't have a really good game.
Yeah, he did. He had a good game last week. He was running hard. I was watching him.
Listen, running
listen,
hard doesn't translate to winning.
But you know what?
They lost to
It makes them
Houston,
relevant, dude. Listen, you got to keep a defense honest. If you don't run the football, you become one-dimensional.
I get
and
that.
you fucking lose. Okay,
But I think
that's
Jaylen
what
Warren,
happened to Baltimore.
Right now, Jaylen
Why do you
Warren
think
is a better
Baltimore
running
lost that
back than
game
Najee
yesterday?
Harris.
Why did Baltimore lose that game yesterday? Outside the drops.
Gus Edwards
Why?
didn't have an awful game.
What do you mean?
He didn't have an awful game.
I don't think they ran him enough. I don't
They
think
didn't
fed
run him enough. He only had 12
That's
rushes.
the fucking problem.
Yeah.
He needs about 18 to 20 carries a game. And if you're not committed to do that, you become one-dimensional. A la your receivers start dropping shit all over the place.
At the
Holy
end of the day, it's simple, right? If the Ravens clean it up, they could be really, really good.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, they are going to win games simply
Just on
based
their
off of their defense alone. That's it.
just
Because the offense isn't there.
Just like San Francisco.
At the end of if we're breaking down this division right now, I still think Baltimore and Cincinnati are a step up from Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Because Pittsburgh all they have to rely on is their defense, and I think Cleveland will probably finish last in the division, but Baltimore has to clean it up if they want to win this division, because as we're going to talk about later on, I think Cincinnati's starting to get it together.
and they could do even more than just win the division too. I still buy into whoever wins this division is going to have a shot at the entire AFC, which is completely down this year. But we can talk about that later. Dolphins, Giants.
Next up, the Miami Dolphins played host to the New York Giants down in South Beach. Miami came out on top in this one, 31-16. Daniel Jones has a neck injury coming from this game. So he's considered day-to-day at the moment. But for Miami, it was pretty much more of the same. Tua, 22 for 30 for 308 and 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 pretty bad interceptions in this game. I always had trouble with this one. Devon Achane, 11 for 151 and a touchdown. He also fumbled. Raheem Mostert did not have a bad game, 10 for 65 and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 8 for 181 yards and a touchdown. Casual, indeed. As far as the Giants go, can we all agree that the Giants are one of the bottom 2 teams in football right now?
Yeah, but
Daniel Jones has been sacked more than any quarterback in the fucking league so far.
Yeah.
I think that things change slightly when Daniel Jones and both Daniel Jones and what's his face in Washington, Sam Howell are on pace to both break the NFL record
of
for
being
sacks.
sacked in the season.
I think the Giants look a little bit better with some offensive line help, and they get healthier. And then Saquon is big in that regard.
Not having him is huge. You have no threat, even though you don't have no threat of the run without him.
Yeah.
You don't.
Honest to God,
Yeah.
do you think right now, it's hypothetical, let's say Daniel Jones misses some time. Do you think there's any drop-off at all missing Daniel Jones and starting Tyrod Taylor?
Yes.
Because I'm at the point where
I don't think Tyrod Taylor will make it through a game.
I kind
To be
of
honest with you, because he He's been injury prone too.
I'm with you. I'm not high on Daniel Jones, but I'm also not low on him. And he ran this offense just fine last year at the keys to the car. I literally think they're just that banged up, and it's causing them to not figure out what's going on. They
They're
need to
missing
completely
key
revamp
components
that
on their
line.
offensive line.
Yeah,
too.
that's huge. I think that's the difference. Is he great? No, but I need to see. I need to confirm with the healthy offensive line how this looks.
Okay, and where are we at on Miami?
They're fickle. By the
What
way,
do you mean they woke up? They woke up yesterday. They didn't come out
by
flat.
the way, has shown up on the injury report
Yeah.
with the knee. He's getting evaluated for
Who
knee
is?
injury, and that ruins 2 fantasy seasons for him
Who?
if he has any issues.
He's hurt.
He's hurt.
He has-
his knee.
I saw it was a tweaked knee.
Please, I'm praying. Tweaked balls.
Tweaked balls.
Yeah.
No, but
well,
where are we at in Miami standing? Because obviously
no, I still
they dropped
think
a bad
Miami's
one.
going to be there in the end.
They dropped a bad one to Buffalo. And
Okay.
obviously, I mean, they beat up on the Giants. They beat up on Denver, and both of those are.
All right, what are they,
games
4-1?
should- They're 4-1.
Their defense is tricky. I think the Dolphins' defense is tricky, and again, it's the same drill. Like that's not a. You don't want Tua playing from behind as much as you don't want Josh Allen playing from behind.
Correct.
And they're going to have to control the pace of games to do all their wins.
Well, the only thing that I would give amongst Miami over Buffalo is this: Tua can actually run an offense. He doesn't have to. They can score at any point of the field. Unlike Buffalo, they don't have to rely on Tua to do everything. They can hand the ball off and still be as effective as they are throwing. They're more balanced than Buffalo. I don't give a fuck
Miami
what
is.
anybody says. That game, and they come out flat in Buffalo. I don't care.
Do you think Miami could be the Super Bowl team from the AFC?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's still, it goes through, hey,
Don't say that.
champs are
We
4-1.
can fight about that later on.
The fucking defending champs are 4-1.
Right now, we can fight about this. New Orleans headed up to Foxborough to play
Oh,
the New
God.
England Patriots. And I'd like to preface this by saying Uncle Sam did indeed take New England in this game. And for lack of a better phrase, New Orleans finger popped Bill Belichick's asshole 34
Oh, they
to nothing.
they didn't finger pop it. You're wrong. They did not finger pop it. They fisted Bill Belichick.
it was rectal prolapse this time
and
around.
it's not pretty. You know what it's like fisting a 72-year-old man?
There's not much to talk about in this one. Mac Jones isn't
No,
great.
he-
Mac
was
Jones
horrible.
got benched. Bailey Zappi came in.
I-
You know what?
think that becomes a
I'm going to
thing,
say
too,
this.
by
It's
the
not
way.
all Mac Jones. You can't put all the blame on Mac
it's
Jones.
Mac Jones looks awful.
It's just up and down. Listen, because Zappy wasn't any better.
No, he was.
So-
he was better. He's been
Well,
better in
not
both
much.
games.
Not much.
Both games that Zappi played in, he's played better than Mac Jones.
I think we're one more plug pulling away from full-time Zappy.
I don't
I'm
think
surprised
we're there.
they ain't full-time
I think
Zappy
we're there.
right now.
I think we're at full-time Zappy.
Fair.
Honest to God, I think we're at they move on from Mac Jones. Because it's like right now, I mean, when Belichick got up there, and I've watched every Belichick interview for 15 years post-game, I have never heard him say, yeah, we're starting completely over. He got up in the podium yesterday.
What does that mean?
And said, we're starting completely over.
That
Well,
means plug pulling.
they doubled down and they asked him, they said, in your years being here, have you ever felt like you had to start over at week 5? And he said, no. And they said, okay, well, what does starting over mean? And he says, we're starting over.
Okay.
So they're starting over. I don't know what it means either. There's one thing that I found interesting from this game is Ramondre Stevenson and Zeke Elliott got the exact same number of carries. They both got 8 carries. So I think
16 carries in a game for New England is not good.
well, you have to. Mac Jones only had 22 passing attempts. So I mean, they couldn't get a fucking.
They were
first down.
flaccid.
Yeah.
Can I school you guys real quick, bigger picture? It's not a
Sure.
football talk because I don't even want to talk about this game. It's a waste of our time. But all good things come to an end eventually.
Absolutely.
I think it's been at an end for 2 years.
I watched the Wings get to 25 or 26 years on their playoff streak. It went away. I watched the San Antonio Spurs do the same thing. Happened to the Yankees. It happened to the Atlanta Braves in the 90s. Eventually, you get dethroned. And the Patriots won't be able to go forward successfully without truly hitting reset, truly getting a quarterback, truly building from scratch.
They've been putting Band-Aids on it for the past fucking 3 years.
So I mean, is this a full sell now? Or are they just
It has to
they
be.
just dump everything?
It has to be.
What did we think of the Saints yesterday?
good bounce back game from Derek Carr.
I thought so, too.
I don't buy into the Patriots, so there's only so much to go around. But again, it goes back to NFC South. That shit is wide open.
Yep.
That door is wide open, and they're all just going to keep treading until some big battle at the end. And honestly, I'm jumping ahead because I want to talk about the playoffs later. 2 teams in that division might get in.
Ooh, that's
Possible.
spicy.
That's
That's a
possible.
spicy take.
Yeah.
Moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals went down to Arizona to play the Cardinals yesterday and came out victorious. Cincinnati 34-20. So Arizona got their one big win against Dallas, man, and then ever since then, I mean,
They played everybody tough.
they've played everybody tough. I don't think Arizona is at the point where we thought they'd be. We all thought Arizona pretty much be one of the worst teams in football this year.
Yes.
I don't know if
I
they're-
don't think they're the worst team in football.
They're not.
No.
They might be bottom
5.
5, but they're not dead bottom.
No.
And you know what?
At this point,
If they could pull out another win or two before Kyler Murray
Correct.
comes back, they don't look all that bad.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I would make a change at this point.
Both of the Colts coordinators, coaches,
Yeah.
or excuse me, not Colts, both of the Eagles coordinators that are coaches now, Steichen and Gannon, both of their teams are out kicking their coverage.
Correct.
And playing tough.
Yeah.
With very lackluster rosters, and credit to them. And maybe that's the reason why we don't think the Eagles look that. Well, that's the
why
main reason the Eagles
That's
don't
exactly
look
the reason why you don't see the Eagles dominating right now.
good. Yeah.
Is they've lost the voices on both sides of the ball.
And Gannon's by no means some crazy offensive guru, but he's got Josh Dobbs playing decent football. And
Yes.
I know you ride or die with Cincinnati, so you have a lot riding on Cincinnati. I know you do. I'm not. I buy in more to their Rams win than I do into this one.
Zach Taylor.
But a win's a win.
Now,
Win's a win.
this was a good win for them, but
Listen,
is it really that impressive?
No, but here's the thing.
Slightly, not that impressive,
It's
but
not
there's a
that
little.
impressive.
It moves the needle a little bit.
It does. This moved the needle for me. I'll say this. You know how Burrow came out this week and said this is the best I've felt. In
You can
my
see it.
opinion,
You've seen it right away.
He looked better than he has all year.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow still does not look like Joe Burrow.
No.
He is not there yet.
You know what, though? At least now he's able to move around.
Correct.
Here's an issue that I had seen. I don't want it to sound like you always say I'm the conspiracy theorist. Joe Burrow's not getting the fucking roughing calls like he used to. My man absolutely was getting hammered out there, and they were throwing any flags. They were in the pocket.
Well, that's something that I guess to keep an eye
To
on.
me, was unusual. I'm not used to seeing a top tier quarterback taking big shots and nobody throwing flags.
And I'll say this: they didn't have T. Higgins yesterday.
Right.
He had to rely on Jamar Chase, and he listened to Jamar Chase. Just throw up the ball to me, and I'll get it.
And that worked.
15 for 192 and 3 touchdowns from Jamar Chase.
Is that good?
That's the bounce
think
back
that's
of the
pretty
year
good?
right there. I mean, and they didn't really have. I mean, Tyler Boyd 6 receptions. Whoever Trenton Irwin was.
And he dropped
Tyler Boyd dropped a touchdown.
he dropped actually like 3 passes.
Yeah, it was targeted.
Real quick, I want to get into some context on what you said on does it move the needle? Is this a big win? Grand scheme, no. But what they were coming into this, the Bengals were at such rock bottom.
Yeah.
That's why this win matters. Like we've
Correct.
just been waiting
Right.
for a
No,
pulse.
I get that.
Like if
and
they
have a pulse right now.
we all said before this week, if they lost this game, that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
We're
at
done
that
picking
point.
them.
If
We
they
picked him and
lost-
we said that. We
Right.
both said that.
If they lost this game, that's it. I was out on Cincinnati for the rest of the year. So this was an important win for them. Was it a big win? Was it a beautiful win? No, but it was an important win for them. Defensively, I still think they have work to do.
I don't think they played bad yesterday defensively. I thought they were pretty good actually. They held a team that's been scoring points under control.
Yes.
James Conner's banged up, by the way.
Yeah, James Conner did.
He
leave.
went out of that game hurt. I
Injured his
seen
knee.
that.
Yeah.
It's.
And when he left the
I
game,
gotta
it
see
was
it
different
more.
after that.
I got to see it more. We need some more consistency.
Same, but
I
that's the
agree.
start.
But it was
We
a
got a
start.
foundation.
Next up in the battle at Mile High, the Jets went into Denver to play the Broncos. It was everything and more. The Jets won this game 31-21. Nathaniel Hackett got the game ball from Amu Bob. And you know what?
Did you see what Amu Bob said when he shook Sean Payton's hand?
Who?
No, I didn't.
Amu Bob. So I was watching it on Red Zone.
Robert Saleh.
Amu Bob, Uncle Bob. That's Arabic for
Anyway.
Uncle Bob. Amu Bob, I was waiting for it, and I was hoping Red Zone didn't cut away because the game was out of hand, and it was the last game on, and I was hoping they wouldn't cut away, and they didn't. They went back for the handshake at 0-0 because we wanted to see it, and Amu Bob shook Sean Payton's hand, and you know what he said? 2 words. He smiled, and he said, "Stay humble."
Woo.
They wanted that one.
They
CJ
did want
Uzoma
that
was
one.
saying fuck them for how they treated Hackett in the pregame, and they wanted that one. And Zach Wilson wasn't half bad again yesterday. He made some
Zach-
big throws.
He didn't look awful yesterday. I will say that. Zach Wilson, 19 for 26, 199 and a pick. But it didn't really matter because Brees Hall decided to take over this game. 22 for 177 and a touchdown.
Brees Hall on one leg.
Brees Hall looked like everything and more yesterday.
I think he's here to
starting,
stay.
He's starting
Yeah.
to look like he's getting into shape
I think
now.
he's here to stay.
yeah. The glaring thing
If you remember
Zach-
that first game against Buffalo, he ran out of gas.
Yeah.
He ran out of gas. He didn't run out of gas
He didn't
yesterday.
run out of gas yesterday. They need to find Garrett Wilson more. They got to get Garrett Wilson more targets. They got to get the ball in his hand more. And this might actually work. Not work, but it might get them through. I mean, they need to. This should have been a game that the Jets defense won by themselves, and they did just enough to win it. If you're Denver, what the fuck? What do you do?
Honestly, it's a defensive problem.
It's completely a defense.
Because if you look at Russ's numbers, Russ has better numbers almost all around than Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Than
he
Patrick
does.
Mahomes right now. They're not doing any, and I mean, same drill. They lost Javonte Williams. Guess what? Here comes Jaleel McLaughlin, who
That
had a
kid
decent
is
game.
fucking money, dude.
And they get the ball around. I mean, Cortland Sutton didn't really do anything yesterday. I know because I have him in 3 leagues, but they get the ball around nicely, and they're there offensively. Their defense, like if you're giving 70 to the Dolphins and you're giving up 31 to the Jets, who
Right.
hadn't scored north of 20 or 21 the entire. You got issues, and maybe this isn't the year, but also maybe there's some good juju headed their way. I just think the Jets really wanted this. They wanted this for Hackett.
Their defense was flying all over the field.
Flying around yesterday.
Yeah, Brees Hall and Bryce Hall. Bryce Hall had
that.
a pick.
Quincy
yeah.
Williams was a monster yesterday.
Yeah. Quinnen Williams.
Quincy Williams.
Quincy, the brother, the
Yes.
linebacker.
He's the one that sacked Russ right at the end there
You know,
to win him the game.
you've been awfully quiet about the Jets so far.
What do you mean?
It's because he got all the antibiotics and he got all the gangrene out
mean?
of his system.
I mean, I don't.
What do you
know.
want me to say? What do you
I
want
want
me
you to
say?
parade this team around like you.
What I would parade this team around if it was Aaron Rodgers behind center.
Oh.
We would be.
You know,
we
that
wouldn't be
sounds a lot
talking
like-
about that right now. You know why?
That's
They might be 4-1.
that sounds a lot like a.
They might be 4-1 or 5-0 at
That's
this point
a bandwagon
with Aaron
take.
Rodgers.
That sounds like
We
something
don't
I
know.
would do.
We don't know. You know what? They can win a few more games here, coming down the stretch. In a few more weeks, when Aaron's out of his little sock and he's throwing passes and running around, you'll see. Everybody going to be fucking scared then.
You really think that you're going to see? You really think?
I
you're
think
gonna
Aaron
see
Rodgers will be
Rodgers
back
again
before the
this year?
playoffs.
Okay. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles headed to SoFi for a game against the Rams and came out victorious. Philadelphia 23, the Los Angeles Rams 14. It was Cooper Kupp's first game back. 8 receptions, 118 yards. But they didn't forget about Puka Nacua, 7 for 71 and a touchdown for him. Kyron Williams, 13 for 53. Matt Stafford, 222 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. On the other side of the ball, A.J. Brown just keeps doing A.J. Brown things. 6 for 127. Dallas Goedert, massive game. 8 for 117 and a
It
touchdown.
started early with him, too. And the first 2 series they had, all they did was ass
Pepper
hammer Dallas
Goddard. Yeah.
For
I was
people
like,
that were
wow,
worried about
dude.
Jalen Hurts, this was his first 300-yard game this year. He also had 70 or 77 or 80 on the
72
ground.
on the ground and a touchdown.
He was their leading rusher. Sit down, DeAndre Swift, you bitch. Anyone that was worried about Jalen Hurts, I think he's going to be fine. I think this game proved it. It's going to take time with Hurts, and he was a monster yesterday. But I still think the Eagles are a little tricky. I mean, good credit to the Rams. They've outplayed everyone's projections of them this year. I still think the Eagles, kind of like the Chiefs, which we'll get to, I think the Eagles and Chiefs are both missing something. I think they're both out of sync, and I want to see the
I
Eagles
think the
against
Eagles
better
are in better shape
competition.
than the Chiefs are. I do.
Yeah, but also I want to see the Eagles against better competition. And when do Eagles-Niners play?
That's so.
Is it
Eagles
late?
Niners play December 3rd.
Oh, it's so
But
late.
I'm going to say this. The Eagles are at the Jets this week.
That could be interesting.
That's an interesting
I'm
game.
sorry, but for some reason, that game intrigues me. And then next week, October 22nd, Sunday Night Football, Eagles-Dolphins.
Ooh,
That
sign
could
me
be
up.
great.
Sign me up.
That could be fantastic.
See if Darius Slay's
And
going
then,
to have to
you want to know what's interesting?
start stretching for that game already.
Hold on. So they're at the Jets this week, which we think is an interesting game, somewhat. Then they play Miami on Sunday Night Football. That's a really interesting game. Then they're at Washington, which we know if there's a Philadelphia trap game, it's at Washington. Then they play Dallas at home. Then they come.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm
Hold
not
on.
worried about the Dallas Cowboys.
Just
whatsoever.
listen to me. Listen.
I think the Dallas Cowboys are utter trash.
Okay, listen to me.
Go ahead.
Bye week
Yeah.
at Kansas City,
Okay.
at home against Buffalo,
Okay.
at home against San Francisco.
That'll tell you where they're at.
That's,
I mean, I
that's
only
an
see
incredible
the
stretch.
way they're playing right now. I only see 2 winnable games. They have to fight for the other 4. Out of those 6 games you just named, that they're going to have to fight really hard. I could see them beating the Commanders because they're not going to choke against them for another time. And then I could see them maybe beating the Jets because of Zach Wilson. The rest of those games, they're going to scratch and claw against the Cowboys.
They'll split with Dallas.
They'll split with Dallas. Miami's tough.
I think
Obviously, Frisco's not going to be easy for them.
they lose to San Francisco.
Yeah, 100%. Kansas City, that's an interesting game, but regardless, like those are not none of those games are gimmies except for the Commanders.
I think they split between the Jets and the Commanders. I think they lose.
We're
to
looking
Miami.
in the future here. Let's talk about this game.
Okay, talk about this game. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
He just
Let's
vibe
talk
checked
about
us
this
so
game.
hard.
Go ahead.
Matt Stafford played his ass off in this game. Under duress.
He was under duress.
Under
I can
duress.
say that.
By the way, your guy finally woke up, and I see you had him on the bench.
Who?
Hassan Riddick.
Yeah, he actually.
Hassan
had a
Riddick
good
was huge
game
at the end of that
yesterday.
game. And, of course, Jalen Carter, at one point, I thought he absolutely almost cut Matt Stafford in half when he whipped him down to the ground.
Yeah. Jalen Carter. Had 2
And I
big
thought for
sacks,
sure
yeah.
he was going to get a penalty and didn't. He was a monster yesterday. He's what everybody thought he was going to be.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I feel like you're slowly becoming a fan of the Los Angeles Rams.
I
Every week he's had.
Every week
Can-
he
can I-
kind of gets
can I
his
say
little
this
hard
right
on
now?
for Stafford and the Rams.
you want to know what? Matt Stafford has gained my respect.
Holy
What? The
And can I tell
fuck?
you why?
What
Can I
the
tell you
hell?
why? Can I tell you why?
I'm listening. Yeah, go ahead.
That team that they put on the field right now is so bad. It's Lion-esque. Outside being coached by Sean McVay, that team is Lion-esque. The talent on that team is slim, very slim. And I bet you can't, outside Aaron Donald, I don't think you guys could name another player on that fucking defense. Because guess what? I don't know who half them people are. And they've played outstanding
Devin Witherspoon.
with what they have.
Different Witherspoon.
What?
He said Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah,
I said Akello Witherspoon.
Devin
Hello.
Witherspoon.
There's a Witherspoon on the
Yeah,
Rams.
I
That's
would-
why
Yeah, he's not
it's
the-
Akello Witherspoon.
Okay, that's what you get for keep sucking on that weed pen, dumbass.
Anyways,
Pen.
moving on.
fucking dumb.
Jesus Christ. Lost my spot here now. Oh, the Kansas City Chiefs.
what the fuck?
What?
I said I gained some respect in him. Are you surprised?
Are you
surprised?
The Rams are quietly having a good year. If they weren't in such a tough division, I would be a lot higher on them.
Okay.
But they did beat one of those teams. They beat Seattle, and they looked decent against San Francisco. They've honestly pushed San Francisco harder than any other team has.
I thought they did too.
That being said, their division is tough, but if they keep pulling some
I
rabbits out of the
want to
hat-
see the rematch with San Francisco
Why?
with Cooper Kupp. I want to see the rematch.
I
with
must
San
be real
Francisco.
low. I must be real high on San Francisco, and we'll talk about it in a second. But do you have anything else to say about Philadelphia? Since you just sat here and blew Matt Stafford for the last 10 minutes.
Well, I will say this: Jalen Carter's what I thought he was going to be. I don't know, dude. I would have took them at 6. That's all I'm going to say.
Right now in a matchup between Philadelphia.
I don't give a fuck about all that other bullshit. I would have took them at 6.
Right now in a matchup between Philadelphia and Detroit, who do you think wins?
Philadelphia.
Interesting.
Best
All right.
run D in the league, but
Sorry?
best run D in the league, but you know.
Yeah. It's all right.
Moving on.
Most dominant defensive player in the draft, period.
Okay, that's one person.
Not 1 year in a row, 2 years in a row.
I heard he has a mangina, though.
Excuse me?
Kansas City headed to the Twin Cities to play the Minnesota Vikings. Came out on top 27-20 in a somewhat tight game. I'm going to be the first one to say, because I think we're all going to kind of agree here. Kansas City still don't look like Kansas City. And I mean, it's kind of just it's becoming more and more glaring that Kansas City, for some reason, doesn't have that magical spot. I don't know if Mahomes isn't as cute as he used to be or what, but they're desperately missing something. I think they're missing I don't know if it's a pass catcher. I don't know what, but they are missing something. And I'm going to say this. Kelsey went out with his little ankle sprain in this game. I know Uncle Sam's probably going to sit here and talk all kinds of shit about that.
He's a big cunt.
Justin Jefferson had an issue, too.
Justin Jefferson went out injured in this game as well.
That to me was the key of the game.
Kelsey came back, though.
Kelsey came
that
back.
was the key of the game.
If
was
they had
going out.
if they had Jefferson in the second half of the fourth quarter, it might have looked a little different.
I think that was the key of the game. I really think that Cousins would have pulled it out if Jefferson was healthy.
I'm with you on the Chiefs. I think both the Eagles and Chiefs are out of whack. Certainly the Chiefs are out of whack.
I already
think
know
they're
what's
more-
wrong with the Chiefs right now. Their defense is missing probably their best player, Nick Bolton. He has been playing the last 3 weeks.
He's on my
doesn't-
team. I thought he played yesterday.
No,
He
he did
was
not
out
play.
yesterday.
Why does that keep happening? Why is he?
He was out.
You keep
You
getting
want to know what's
swap
funny?
him out.
You had 2 guys out and your quarterback put up 2 points and you still beat Jack. Anyways, I'm going to say this. If you're Minnesota now, what are you going to do? Like, what do you – Minnesota –
Who do they got next?
like, is Minnesota at the point where they're getting ready? Do you tear this down? I mean,
No, I don't think you can.
they're at Chicago, home against San Francisco, at Green Bay, at Atlanta.
Now they can actually turn their season around right here,
No, they can't.
beating Chicago.
I don't know
Beating
about turning
Chicago can
season
turn their
around.
season around.
I don't know about turning their season around, but nothing screams, I need good medicine quite like the Chicago Bears.
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. They've lost how many games now? 4?
4. They're 1-4.
They've lost 4 games by a combined total of.
I have no idea.
They're all
you want me to
fucking,
go through
like,
and count it.
They're close. One
Single
this week was
digits.
7.
Yes,
Last
but we
week they
all
won.
said last year they won 11
Here,
games
they,
by one
they
score.
won all
This year
those
they
games
should
last
lose them
year.
all.
Instead of losing them, now you're seeing them lose those games that they were winning last year.
I still think they're very talent depleted. I think Alexander
Yes.
Madison sucks.
Yeah, he's
not
garbage.
far.
20.
Why they're not playing Cam Akers over here?
It's
is
gonna
beyond me.
start happening. It's gonna start
Yeah.
happening. I just think they're talent
Madison
depleted.
is a backup.
If we're taking Justin Jefferson out of the picture too, not good.
Not good.
Not good.
If you take Justin Jefferson off this offense, they don't beat Chicago. They don't beat Chicago.
Maybe.
Maybe. You might be right.
Justin
But they got
Jefferson misses
T.J.
next
Hawkinson.
Oh yeah.
Maybe. Can we go back to Kansas City?
Yes,
though?
actually, I wanted to go back.
We go back to Kansas City. What do we think is wrong with them, and does it get solved? Chris in the chat says Kansas City will be fine. Do you agree with that?
No, and I don't think that the AFC runs through Kansas City right now. I think it runs through either team.
Buffalo
It
or
runs
to
through
Miami.
Buffalo or Miami, and whoever wins the AFC North. Right now, I don't think Kansas City.
They're 4-1.
Yes, I get that.
Wait,
but
who'd they lose to, by the way?
Yeah, it's a
They're
very
4-1, dude.
What's
it's
the
a
one?
fluky
Someone tell me the
4-1.
You
Someone tell me the
want to
one.
know what their problem is? I can tell you their problem.
They don't
right
have
now.
a pass catcher.
They're not committing to the run enough.
They don't have a pass catcher.
They're not committing to the run enough.
They don't have a pass catcher.
They need to start running the shit out of the running backs that they
Listen,
have. There.
here it is. At the end of the day, they have won one definitive game. They have won one game in definitive fashion, and that was against the Chicago Bears at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Outside of that, they lost to Detroit. They beat Jacksonville by 6. They beat the Jets by a field goal, and they beat Minnesota by a
They beat
touchdown
Jacksonville.
yesterday.
Jacksonville's a good team.
Jacksonville 3 weeks ago was not Jacksonville now. I'm sorry, it's not.
So
They're a good team.
They have listen to me. It goes back there. Okay.
Then what are you trying to say? Kansas City's the worst 4-1 team in the league right now?
They look like the worst
You
4-1
think so?
team in the league.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
who are
that's
the other 4-1 teams?
Detroit.
Detroit's 4-1. Buffalo's 3-2, right?
Yeah.
Miami's 4-1.
Yeah.
And then you could throw the 5-0 teams in there too if you want. I mean, Miami's 4-1. Kansas City's 4-1. Hold on, I have it
Tampa
up in front of me now.
4-1.
Detroit's
Tampa's
4-1.
3-1.
That's it. So okay, outside of the 5-0 teams, Philadelphia, Frisco, Detroit, Miami, and Kansas City. Who's the worst team out of all those?
Playing the worst right now, it's
Kansas City.
It's Kansas City.
Interesting.
This is why they're gonna at least be like minimally okay. Is they're playing it's the Patriots and the Packers over the last 15 years. They're playing in a really bad division. So
Well, they're hoping that these guys that are there develop going in further into the season here. And as long as they can get these guys into, what are they called again?
they play
What's the one guy?
they play in one of the worst divisions and they're 4-1 right now. So that's an easy
Sky
recipe
Moore?
for
Waiting for Sky Moore to develop.
Rashi Rice. So that's an easy recipe to rectify this, and you have Arrowhead going for you in the winter. It's just a matter of, is this finally going to be the year where they have to travel? Is this going to be the year where they have to go to Miami? Not as threatening, but if they have to go to Buffalo, if they got to go to Baltimore,
I think that's a yes.
I think it's a
Possible.
yes too.
Possible.
Okay,
I think it's a yes.
Let's say
too.
win their division.
I think they got
Their
more
division's
losses
dog
than that.
shit.
I think they have more. They're going to win their division. They're going to win it by a lot. But I do think they have more losses with them if this is the team they're trotting out, because they're missing something. They're missing something in their receiving court. I know, because I have Mahomes in 2 leagues, and he's not putting up
I have him
Mahomes
too.
numbers right now. And I just think offensively they're not all there. The defense is slowly coming along, but it's not. They definitely don't look like world-beating Kansas City. In fairness, a year ago now, they still didn't look like world-beating Kansas City, and then one thing leads to another, and then they're always there in the end.
I'm still going to go back to my Travis Kelce take that I had week 1 when they played the Lions. Your entire offense is reliant on a 33-year-old tight end, and I'm sorry, but if that's where if you're relying on that, because let's be real here, the rest of their pass catchers, if they were on any other team, they're probably barely seeing the field. So let's again. They're too reliant on one guy.
And here's a piggybacking off of that. That one guy was out week 1 versus the Lions, and they lost. And I agree with that. I think a lot of their offense currently goes through Kelce, and Kelce's one
That's
injury
the
away.
Andy Reid offense. He did the same thing in Philadelphia.
He gets injured every other week.
Right.
And how long can that last without any other pass catchers at the moment?
I mean,
I'm with you on
You're
that.
pushing Gronkowski levels of beat upness on Travis Kelce right now. That's where you're at.
Actually, he's been a lot healthier than Gronk.
Well, but
Gronk had
to this
5
point-
major knee surgeries at this time in his career.
Gronk was bionic.
Did you guys know they're the same age, by the way? Kelce and Gronkowski?
Kelsey and Gronk, yes.
They're the same age.
Yeah.
He's
And how long has Gronk been retired for? What, 2 years now? Almost going in 2 years?
2 years.
Been a full year.
was 2
He's been retired.
This is his second year in actual retirement. Anyways, if you're the Chiefs right now,
Call Gronkowski. Play double tight ends. That's what I would do if I was Andy Reid.
okay, hypothetically, just real quick, if Justin Jefferson's out, should Minnesota start to look to move Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, his contract's hard to unload, but I think
I
there's
don't
no
I don't
dead
think
cap.
Kirk Cousins is going anywhere, to be honest with you. Look at the numbers he's putting up.
This is his last year in
Who
Minnesota.
are they going to get to put in his spot?
No, this is his last
Nobody.
year in Minnesota
You
because
enter the Caleb Williams sweep.
so supposedly there's a rumor, I don't know how true it is, but there's a rumor that Justin Jefferson turned down the highest contract for a wide receiver in NFL history this summer because he wanted to see what their future was at quarterback, and he doesn't want it to be Kirk Cousins. He wants to see where they're going. He wants to see if they draft someone. So I think no matter what, they're in the market to draft a quarterback, number one. Number two, Cousins' contract is so big that they won't be able to pay like what they paid Hawkinson and what they want to pay Justin Jefferson. They won't be able to do it. Like, they need to get younger at quarterback. So I do think, I don't know if they're going to move him at the deadline.
That's a double-edged sword right there.
It can
He
be.
should shut the fuck up. You know why? Because he's the one reaping the benefits of Kirk Cousins.
But guess what? Kirk Cousins hasn't won anything for them. He won a division. It was the cheapest division win in the history of division wins, in my opinion. And they got shit pumped in the first round of the playoffs. But he hasn't really won much there.
He's Tony Romo.
It's good. It's a
He's
really
Tony
good
fucking
comparison.
Romo, dude.
It's a very good comparison.
Moving on, the moment that a lot of you have been waiting for. The Dallas Cowboys headed to San Francisco to play the 49ers.
Hold on. Let me stretch for this
Oh,
one.
he's leaving. He's leaving.
I'm out here
He
stretching.
just left.
I'm out here stretching. He's getting an energy drink.
The San Francisco 49ers put an absolute ass shellacking down on the Dallas Cowboys, 42-10, in a game where Uncle Sam picked Dallas to win. So you've lost this week by a combined 75 points in 2 games. Anyways, Brock Purdy, 17 completions on 24 attempts, 252 yards, and not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 touchdown passes for a QBR of 144.5. Christian McCaffrey only needed to run the ball 19 times for 51 yards and a touchdown, and he only needed to catch the ball twice for 27 yards in this game. At the end of the day, this game was never in doubt. I was very excited for it. I thought we'd see a defensive battle, but here we go. The Dallas Cowboys defense folded. Brock Purdy was able to do exactly what he needed to do to win the game. They threw in a guy named Jordan Mason who ran the ball 10 times for 69 yards right at the end. Debo got 5 carries in. George Kittle had a 3-touchdown evening, and the 49ers rolled. And before we go on, before I let Zolo go on his molestation spree here, I'm going to say this. The San Francisco 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl this year. They'll finish the regular season with 2 or less losses, and Brock Purdy will be the MVP.
They could go 17-0.
They could go. They're that good. They are that fucking good right now that they could go 17-0. And we talked all about how Dallas had the best defense. Dallas or the 49ers had the best defense in football. That was embarrassing. Jerry Jones talked all week about how hyped this game should have been. That was fucking embarrassing. And you can go ahead and say that Dak Prescott threw the game away, and that's fucking fine. But at the end of the day, you ain't going to give credit. Credit is due to Brock Purdy. They did exactly what they needed to do to win this game yesterday, and their defense looked fabulous in the process. That's the best team in football. That's the best defense in football. It's probably, outside of Miami, the best offense in football. And it's almost impossible to think about them losing right now. Go ahead.
You go first, Uncle Sam.
No, after you.
Age before beauty.
I insist.
He's
after
got
you.
nothing to say. He's got nothing to
I got a lot
say.
to say.
Go.
I always got something to say.
Go. Talk your
wait,
shit.
not you.
Walk
Go
your
ahead.
walk.
Go ahead. Tell me how great Brock Purdy is. Brock Purdy ain't shit. Anybody could fucking play quarterback behind.
You've gotta
I could
stop
play
saying
quarterback behind that offense.
You've got
I could
to
throw
stop
3
saying
touchdowns
that. Listen,
behind that offense.
Jimmy Garoppolo never looked this good in that offense.
Jimmy Garoppolo never had fucking half the weapons this guy's got. He didn't have shit. He didn't have Christian McCaffrey.
That's it. That's the only one. That's the only one.
That's the only one.
It's the only one.
And
And you're
honestly-
forgetting Elijah Mitchell played absolutely lights out there before McCaffrey got there. You're delusional.
I'm not. Listen to me.
Look. Let
That
me
defense
go first.
alone.
Let me go first.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say this much. I think if you threw probably 10 to 15 current starting quarterbacks into that offense, and we can do a list if you want, but I do think if you did throw 10 to 15 quarterbacks under center, they would be doing what Purdy is doing. I can admit that. I can admit
Absolutely.
that. Go. You finish your thought. I
No,
will
go ahead.
unload.
Absolutely.
That's it. It's the only thing I want
I
to
think
say.
you're absolutely
Okay, so
right.
then that means you're saying Brock Purdy then is at a minimum a top 15 quarterback.
He's a game manager.
No. Stop. No, you can't fuck around now.
I'm not fucking around. He's
He's
a
a
game
top
manager.
15 quarterback.
He's a top 15 quarterback.
He's a top 10 quarterback.
15.
Top 12 quarterback.
No.
Then name me 12 quarterbacks better than him.
I would say 12, yes. 12, yes. You know who I
Honestly,
think's better than him? You want my list?
If you want to go ahead.
Patty Mahomes,
Okay.
Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, even your boy fucking, what's his name in Buffalo? Josh Allen.
Okay.
Justin Herbert.
Okay.
Jared Goff, I think, is better than him.
So far, I agree with you on every name you've said.
Really?
And you're missing some stuff.
Okay, I'm not done. Kirk Cousins?
No.
Yes.
Absolutely
I think Kirk Cousins is better than he is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Next.
What do you mean next? I just told you, Kirk Cousins.
Okay. You said you had 12 guys who were better than him.
CJ Stroud.
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joe.
I think CJ Stroud is better
I don't
than
know
he
if
is.
he's better than him. I think if you put CJ
I think
Stroud,
you put CJ Stroud in that offense,
Stroud in that offense, he would thrive.
absolutely light it up.
I agree. I agree.
So you don't agree with that?
There's 8 so far.
Aaron Rodgers. A hurt Aaron Rodgers
Isn't he dead?
is better than him.
Okay, 9.
Okay.
You're at 9.
I'm at 9.
Makes Purdy 10.
So I need to get a couple more in there. I'm on the spot. It's not as easy as you think it is.
You did miss Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Okay.
Did you say Tua?
He did not say
Tua.
Tua.
Okay.
So now you have him
So
at
where
12.
we at?
You're at 12.
All right. We're at 12. Okay.
Outside of, I don't think Cousins would do as well in that offense.
Bullshit, dude. You know what? That's bullshit.
And honestly-
Kirk Cousins would absolutely light it up in that
Hold
offense.
on.
You forget that Kirk
Hold
Cousins
on.
was with his dad in fucking Washington.
And
it's the reason why Kirk Cousins is a fucking NFL quarterback.
I don't think Josh Allen would do as well in that offense as Brock Purdy is.
Josh Allen just beat. That's why, dude. All he is
Outside
is
of that,
big and
it
throw the
honestly,
ball down the field.
in that offense, I
I'm
agree.
just going
I
to
agree
say
with
that.
you on all but 3.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Okay, their defense is so good, and they showed that they can be run on a little bit. But the problem is, if you stop Christian McCaffrey or hold him in check, they're beatable. Dude, they're beatable. You have to be able.
Can I tell you guys?
stopped Christian McCaffrey and put up 42 points.
Christian
Wait a minute, I'm not done.
McCaffrey did nothing yesterday.
Listen,
He did absolutely nothing.
You still have to be able to control the line of scrimmage with them. The Rams stayed tit for tat for them with them for 3 quarters. And it got away from them at the end because the Rams defense doesn't have the fucking guns on it to stop them. But if you can
Dallas has the guns.
Obviously they don't. Dallas also threw 3 fucking interceptions on 3 straight possessions. That's a recipe for disaster. You will fucking lose. I don't care who you are. 3 interceptions, 3 straight possessions is the reason why they lost the fucking game. Period. That's why they lost. Yes or no? Anybody going to fucking argue with me about that?
I agree with Dak Prescott's awesome.
Okay? He's garbage. I've been saying
But
it
you've
for
also gotta give-
for 2 fucking years. I've been telling you what a piece of garbage Dak Prescott is.
I'm not trying to
Does
give
everybody
Dak,
see it now?
I'm not trying to give Dak the benefit of the doubt, but you've got to put that on. San Francisco's, he had no time. San Francisco's DBs were everywhere.
I'm not putting it all on Dak Prescott.
Your boy Hufanga was at the ball on every play.
Listen to me. The Cowboys are what they are until they get rid of Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. They will never win anything. Nothing. They won't even win a fucking divisional title because they can't beat Philadelphia.
I can go.
Yes, go.
Hello. So first, let me give some shout outs before I go. Shout out number 1 to PJ for 2 ways. I appreciate the text, and you were looking forward to this. But
Leon,
also,
shout out to Leon.
shout out to Leon.
Fuck
The Arabs have been chanting for this for a while. Angie had something to say.
Yep.
Go ahead.
A lot of people have been waiting a long time for this moment. Number 1. Number 2, I want to give a shout out to the boardroom that thought my trade with Angie was bad because I got 3 TDs out of Kittle and I've gotten 20 points in back-to-back weeks out of A-Chain. And Travis Kelce hasn't done much, so I did A-okay in that trade. So shout out to you guys. But I'm going to spit some numbers on you. I brought 2 loaded guns with me today.
I don't care about your analytics and your numbers.
It's not analytics. These are stats that matter.
Go ahead.
So Brock Purdy on 10-plus yard throws in 2023. He has a 79.1% completion percentage, which is first in the league. He has 704
That's like
passing
making
yards.
layups in the fucking
He has
NBA.
No. These are far throws. These are 10-plus yard throws. These aren't the easy gimme throws. These are the hard throws. He's 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, and he has a 158.3 perfect passer rating, which is the highest in the league. For the MVP race, his odds went from preseason plus 4,500 to plus 700, which is 3rd in the league at the moment, behind only Tua and Josh Allen. Hold on, I'm not done. In his 10 career regular season starts, by the way, the 49ers have won 14 straight regular season games, which is obviously the longest streak in the NFL. It's the 5th longest all time, and I think it's the longest in franchise history. During that 10-game stretch, he's 10-0, 70% completion percentage in those games. He averages 9 yards per attempt, and he has... they have 1,500 team rushing yards during that time. That's McCaffrey. He's 12-0 in games where he started so far as the 49ers quarterback. He's 5 for 7 with 105 yards and 2 TVs with throws at the This isn't the layup throws. This isn't the layup throws. He's 5 for 7 with 105 yards and 2 TDs on throws at the intermediate level. That means between 10 and 19 yards and further downfield. Okay. For the season now, he's 27, and that was last night. For the season now, he's 27 for 31 with 490 yards and 4 TDs and 0 interceptions. He's got no interceptions this year. He's got 9 touchdowns and no interceptions on those exact throws. His passer rating of 121.1 is the highest for a quarterback over his first 10 starts in NFL history. Okay. They've scored 30 or more points in 8 consecutive games. And he started all those games, which is the 5th longest streak in NFL history.
We're not talking about the one game he lost.
He hasn't lost a regular season game.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost a regular season game.
We're just talking about the one game he hasn't lost then.
He hasn't lost a regular season game.
It doesn't matter.
They lost a game that he got knocked out of.
The game he lost, the game he didn't finish.
Well, he didn't finish the game. He didn't finish the game.
Right.
And then they ended up losing the game, a game in which he was in.
He lost.
Regardless, the point is, so I agree that if you throw a lot of quarterbacks under that team, and not everyone, like I don't think Justin Herbert can do what he does.
Listen to me right now. If he goes down tomorrow and gets hurt, Sam Darnold will step in there, and that fucking team will continue to do what they're doing.
You're delusional.
I think they're fucked if Purdy goes down.
Say what you want. Listen to me. I'm not the only one who thinks Brock Purdy is a fucking bum.
The whole gist,
believe me.
The whole gist of all the numbers.
He's a serviceable quarterback.
Listen, I'll give you the 12. I'm not giving you Sam Darnold.
The whole gist of the numbers that I just gave you are.
Yeah.
It's not about the game managing or anything like that. He's making the throws.
Correct.
It's not he's got the 4 TDs yesterday, and he doesn't throw interceptions. He's making the throws, and he's making the tough throws. Now, again, I don't disagree that there's other people that can make the throws. I think there are other, like I think Jared Goff can do, and
Jared Goff's numbers are as good as his numbers are. Outside the 4 interceptions he has this year, their numbers are very, very fucking close. If you look at it, the percentages are close. Everything is close on it outside the interceptions that Jared Goff has thrown this year. But if you go back last year into this year, their numbers are fucking right there.
See,
look at it.
This is the thing.
What?
Nobody's arguing that.
I'm just
We're all in agreement that there's 12 quarterbacks.
Dude.
Close to
it's
12.
all cute and everything now, just like Patty Mahomes is cute. It's all cute till it counts.
He's making the throws though.
That's good.
He's doing it, and it does
good
count.
for him. He's making the throws against mediocre competition.
You can't
You're
say
the one who
you
said
can't say
Dallas'
that.
defense.
I thought
You can't say that in 10 games.
They didn't show up yesterday.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing as they didn't show up. They got out game planned by Brock Purdy and the 49ers.
You think they showed up yesterday? Do you think Dallas looked anything like they did prior to that?
So in the NFL, it's not we didn't show up. It's we weren't prepared, and they weren't prepared. Fair,
they were not prepared yesterday.
Totally, but they weren't prepared because Brock Purdy was fucking prepared, and Kyle Shanahan was fucking prepared. That is why. At some point,
Shanahan's always.
This is what
prepared.
I'm trying to tell you. There's such a big body of work at this point that we can't deny what Brock Purdy is doing. We can't.
You can't deny what Kyle Shanahan's done either.
No, not at all.
Kyle Shanahan is a wizard until it comes to the fucking games that count. Then he shits the bed hard.
Listen,
and if you think I'm wrong, go look at the statistics on that.
At some point, like I don't know, I'm not insulting you. I don't know if you're watching the games or not, but at some point you have to watch
the games.
I know you're watching.
Yeah, that's
the games.
Insulting me.
I know you're watching the games.
Yeah,
that's why
insulting.
I'm saying it. He's making all of the throws.
Yeah,
and
a nutless monkey could make the fucking throws he's making.
That's the thing.
Now.
Not every nutless monkey can make these throws.
Like this is the thing.
Because there's so many of them. There's so many of these throws, and he's making all of them.
When you say Jared Goff could step in there and do that, or yes, but when you say that, or you say Tua can step in there and do that,
Tua,
or you say Any of them could, but you lose the
You
credibility.
put him on Miami right now. Do you think he would be doing what Tua's doing?
Different offense.
No, they're more similar than you think because McDaniels comes from Kyle Shanahan, and for that reason, I do think Brock Purdy would be doing what Tua is doing.
You think so?
I do.
I don't think he's as accurate as Tua. I think Tua's
We're
far more accurate.
We're splitting hairs at that point. We're splitting hairs.
When you go as far to say Sam Darnold could step in there and do this, that's when the credibility's lost.
That's bullshit. Hey, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
That's
all I'm going to say.
He won it with arguably the best defense of all time. That's all. I wasn't trying to insult you, by the way.
Yards?
I wasn't trying to insult you. I say, are you watching the games? What I'm trying to say
I'm not
is,
watching them. I didn't watch any of that last
he
night.
slept through the entire Sunday.
I didn't watch any of it. I turned it off.
What I'm trying to say is, so like your Tua argument. Yeah, I'm not arguing that Tua can come and do the same.
I get what you're saying. All I'm saying is he's a game manager, okay? I've seen guys like him. Tony Romo put up great numbers during the season. And then come playoff time, he's going to be what he is.
Do you know who the greatest game manager of all time was?
Who?
It's Tom Brady, who's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Oh God, here we go.
I'm
Here
sorry?
we go.
Tom Brady's literally the greatest game manager to ever play the game.
I think you're right.
He's the greatest game manager
Game
to ever do it,
manager.
and he won seven.
Game manager.
He won 7 Super Bowls managing games, making
lost how many?
only the throw. He lost a lot, but he made the throws that they needed him to make.
Right.
When they needed him to make a big throw, he did it. He was accurate and he was clutch, and he did it. And I'm not saying
outside the Atlanta game and outside the fucking Seattle game. Should I keep going down the fucking list of
Giants time
they
2.
should have lost?
No, he won Seattle. It's Giants times 2.
They should have lost. They should have lost to Seattle.
They should have lost Seattle.
The dumbass Pete Carroll fucking decided
they
to throw
did.
a ball
That's
at
the
the
point.
2-yard line.
That's the
they
point.
did it.
If he was more of a game manager, they not only would have won those games, but they would have won more Super Bowls.
Right.
But he was a game manager. He didn't do the bare minimum, but he did everything he needed to do to win those games. And
And he's
that's what
0-2
Brock
against Tom
Purdy's doing.
Coughlin. 0-2 against Eli Manning.
I'm not
You know?
biting. I'm not biting.
I'm not saying Purdy's going to end up being Brady. I'm saying
Hey,
what he's doing
you
right
know
now.
Purdy is?
He's trying to
Eli
get me to
Manning.
bite. He's trying to get me to bite right now.
Eli Manning won 2. He was a game manager, but he won 2 fucking Super
Okay,
Bowls.
hold on.
And he was the MVP.
I agree.
He was
I
the
agree.
MVP in both of those Super Bowls.
I
Here we
agree.
go. This is a good way to close this out. Would you be shocked if the 49ers won the Super Bowl this year?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I think if Patty Mahomes is still in this at the end, that nobody can beat Patty Mahomes. Patty Mahomes not only has God on his side, he has the NFL on his side.
You don't think your Eagles would
beating
beat them
Patty
this year?
Mahomes.
You don't think Jalen Carter would beat them
Oh,
this year?
I take the Eagles over the Chiefs.
I'd
right
take the
now.
Eagles over the Chiefs.
What?
I take
Listen,
the Eagles over the Chiefs.
I
right now
would
any day of the
take all 3 of those
You know
top
what?
NFC teams, which is Eagles, Chiefs, Lions. Eagles, Niners, Lions. I would take all 3 of those teams over any
This is
AFC.
a
That's not playoff time, Mike.
This is a perfect transition into the playoff picture. Okay? We're going to run through this real fast, okay? Right now, the AFC East, these are the standings. Miami, Buffalo, the Jets, and New England. Do we see that changing?
No,
Say that again.
Miami, Buffalo, Jets, New England.
no, that's how I had it preseason too. So no, I don't. I think
How I had
I
it
think Miami soundly wins that division. They have the least amount of issues.
I agree.
I'll agree with that.
Okay. The next one is obviously going to be a little bit more Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincy.
I think Baltimore wins that division in the end.
I do too.
And I think
it's
Cincinnati
Baltimore.
makes enough of a push to
Believe
where
it or
they're
not,
gonna-
I think unless Tug and Rub can come back healthy, I think Cincy will finish second.
I think it's going to be Cincy, Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I'm still rolling with
I think Pittsburgh's going to finish at the bottom just because the defense will win them a few more games, and that'll be about it. They don't have any other weapons beside Pickens on offense. So they got to figure out what they're going to do. The
AFC
line is horrible.
AFC South, Jacksonville, Indy, Houston, Tennessee.
It's tricky, but I think Jacksonville ultimately wins the 10 or 11 games and gets it done.
In my opinion, Jacksonville wins the division.
Jacksonville wins that division.
Jacksonville wins that division.
They should.
Indy and Houston finish 2 and 3, and Tennessee finishes in last, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree with that.
AFC West, Kansas City, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos.
Yeah, the Chiefs, and none of the other 3 teams get in.
Okay. So now out of the AFC, we have the division winners of Miami.
I think one is Miami.
Okay. We have Jacksonville. These are ones we all agree on. And we have Kansas City.
Right.
The AFC North, do we see 2 teams getting in the playoffs from there?
Yes.
Baltimore and Cincy. Okay? So one wins the division.
I don't know.
One
Cincinnati
takes
got a
a
lot
wild
of work
card.
to do to get there, dude.
Yeah, so does Baltimore.
Yeah.
In my opinion, both those teams have a lot of work to do, but they'll both get it figured out. So we have one winning the
But
division.
the problem is this: is those teams in the South going to have more wins.
Who?
No, I don't think if you're talking about Titans,
Houston,
Titans,
maybe?
Colts, Houston, I don't think so.
Listen,
I don't think so.
Cincinnati's going to hit the run now. I really think that.
I don't know.
Okay, does Buffalo make the playoffs a wild card team?
100%.
Okay. So we have a wild card team. So what? How many? Wait, is there 2 or 3
We
now?
should be at 6.
We're at 6. So we need one more wild card
I
team.
think Cincy. I can argue Cincy. I need to see a little bit more out of them, but
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you right now.
I do too.
At a minimum, I'll call them the 7 seed.
Cincinnati.
Yep.
Well, we're still missing one. We have right now. We have Baltimore, Miami, Jacksonville, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and who?
You could see a third team out of that East
Okay.
go in.
So this is where your South argument can come in.
Correct.
I think if anything, it's Houston.
Yeah.
If anything, it's Houston. I could see Pittsburgh or Cleveland getting
I
it.
think Houston.
Oh, down goes Dilfer.
That's the ultimate sign right now.
Okay, who do we realistically? Do the Chargers entice anybody?
I'm gonna give you guys a list of. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let's call it.
Not in this lifetime.
I fucking lean against Trent.
Okay,
I almost smashed him in the air and Hernandez.
I don't think anybody else from the AFC West makes it.
I got 4 teams. You're gonna pick one of the 4 teams.
Go.
Ready?
Jets.
Houston, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, the Chargers. Which one of those 4 teams do you think gets?
Houston. Right now, today, I don't think Pittsburgh has the offense that it takes to win enough games. I don't think the Chargers are going to win anything else. Cleveland, and I think realistically, Houston's still better than Cleveland. And you don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to be available.
I might agree with you.
I would take Houston. You? It's the last wild card.
Houston, Pittsburgh, Cleveland,
Jets.
Chargers.
You're taking the Jets.
Okay, we could throw the Jets in there.
I'll take the Jets. Those two. So that's our playoff picture. Miami, Jacksonville, KC, Baltimore as division winners. Wild card is Cincinnati, Buffalo, and or the Houston Jets.
You really think the Jets have enough to keep winning these games when they have to play good teams?
You know
really
what? Their
think they could do it?
defense is good enough. And if they can get the ball to bounce their way a little bit, Brees Hall has the year I think he's going to have, I truly think they could make it.
Zach Wilson has to continue to hold serve, and even though he's held serve, he's only got 1 win to show for it. Well,
Right.
2. He's got 2.
Right.
He's got to continue to hold serve for that to be even remotely possible. So you need him to keep.
Who do they
being
play
this
this
way.
week?
Who does who play?
The Jets.
Oh, God. Put me on the spot here. You put me on the spot here.
Sorry.
The Jets play the the Jets play Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Rough start.
What's next for them after Philly?
You can't look ahead.
What? Just asking a question.
They have Philadelphia, the bye, the Giants, the Chargers, the Raiders at Buffalo.
I
Now
think
tell me that
Giants-
they can't
Giants
go on a
and
little
Raiders.
run here and win 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Giants and
3 in a
Raiders.
row.
Agree?
Giants and Raiders.
Agree. This is the issue. So you have the Philadelphia
So
Giants.
let's say they
Chargers,
lose to
Raiders.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They go to, what is it? Then they're at 2 and 4.
Yeah.
They're at 2 and 4. They beat the Giants. Who else they play?
The Chargers.
The Chargers. I think they can beat the Chargers.
Okay.
I'll give that to you.
Yeah, because all they got to do
Las
is run the
Vegas.
football and play
At
defense.
Las
I'll give it
Vegas.
to you.
Huh?
At Las Vegas.
I think they could beat
At Vegas?
I think
You don't
beat
think
the
they could beat
Raiders.
Vegas?
Okay. So what are they now?
Okay.
Okay, so here's the problem. They still have to go to Buffalo.
Here we go.
They got to play Miami twice.
At Buffalo.
Yeah, they've already beat Buffalo once.
But at Buffalo is a different story.
I don't care. They
Lost
beat
at
Buffalo once.
They
Josh
lose at
Allen
Buffalo.
turnovers.
Miami.
No, I don't think they're beating Miami either time.
Hey, don't sleep on that.
I'm not going to sleep
They
on
Atlanta.
it.
gotta go to the Jets.
I'm not going to
They can
sleep
win
on
it.
it, but I don't
Here
think
we
they're
go,
beating
'cause this
Miami
is-
either time.
At Buffalo, at home against Miami, at home against Atlanta, at home against Houston, at Miami, at home against Washington, at Cleveland, at New England. I'm sorry, that's a lot of loss in there. They lose
That's
at
a lot
Buffalo.
of wins in there.
They lose at Buffalo. They lose both to Miami. They split between Houston
Hold
and
on.
Atlanta.
Hold on.
They split between Washington and Cleveland, and they probably lose the last game of the year to New England because that's how that shit works.
You're also not factoring in the other teams.
You got them losing in New England?
The last game of the year, yeah.
You got to be fucking.
They got to get to 9. 9 is the magic number, and I don't know if they have enough to get to 9.
They can beat New England. They can beat Vegas. They can beat fucking San Diego.
They could beat
or
the Giants.
whoever.
They could beat
Chargers.
the Giants.
Okay.
And
They're playing the Giants.
listen, hold on, start over. They'll probably beat the Raiders. They'll probably beat the Giants. They'll probably beat the Patriots. They can beat the Chargers is totally different because I think the Lions can beat the Chargers too, but the Lions have to go there and actually fucking beat them to get the win.
Listen, all I want them to do is slide in. Because by that time, they'll have somebody with some competence in there, and it might actually look different.
Why do you keep
And
saying
this all happens.
In what world do you think Aaron Rodgers plays?
Oh, he's playing.
You know, if he plays, he's playing at New England on January
It's not going to
7th.
be. I could see a scenario where if they're somehow still in it in January, it could happen. It's not going to be before then.
Can we do the
He's
NFC
not that
now?
much of a freak. Yeah.
Because we're an hour and 40 minutes into this episode. So let's do the NFC.
Hour and 60.
Hour what?
Hour 59.
Oh, so we're 2 hours in.
Hold on. In fairness, we started at 4:52. So
Right.
Okay. Here we go. NFC. Philadelphia, Dallas, Washington, Giants.
Philly.
Philadelphia for sure.
Okay. Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago.
Detroit for sure.
Tampa, Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina.
I'm going to say Tampa. I think you're going to agree with me over there.
Yes. Tampa.
I'm disagreeing with that wholeheartedly.
Well, then your other team gets in. Whatever it is, the other team will put them in.
San Francisco, Seattle, the Rams, Arizona.
San Francisco gets in. Seattle.
Frisco.
San Francisco wins the division. Seattle gets in. They get one of the wild cards.
Do you think Seattle's a wild card team?
I'm going to say the Rams.
So we'll say Seattle. They're not both getting in. So we'll say Seattle or the Rams, right?
Right.
Okay. The NFC South, there's no way 2 teams make it in, correct?
Honestly, I think 2 teams could get in because their schedules are so bad and they get to beat up each other. I said that months ago.
Does Green Bay make it in?
No.
It depends on what happens with the 3 teams getting in out west. I don't think Seattle's getting in, or I don't think the Rams are getting in over Seattle personally.
Okay, we'll say Seattle or the Rams.
We got to put them both in. That's fair.
Now, there's an extra wild card.
There's 3. You get 3 teams
Right,
after the 4 divisions.
Okay, is Dallas getting a wild card spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who?
Dallas.
Yeah. They only have 2 losses right now.
Dallas will probably get a wild card. So we're missing 1. So it's either a second team from the West, a second team from the South, or Green Bay.
I think it's more likely that the Bucks and the Saints
West or the
both
South.
get in. I think the Bucks and Saints get in, and then I think one of Rams or Seahawks get in.
So you don't have Atlanta anywhere here.
I Desmond Ritter's doo-doo. It was 1 game.
Listen, you got to win a bunch of games here, and I think going forward right now, I think the Rams are going to surprise a lot of people. I think they're going to be in the hunt.
So this is what we have. We have Philadelphia, Detroit, Tampa Bay, and San Francisco winning the division.
Right.
And then wild card spot 1, we have Dallas. Wild card spot 2, we have either Seattle or the Rams. Wild card spot 3, we have New Orleans.
Okay.
With Green Bay out.
Right.
Of
Only one team in our division's going. It's going to be Detroit.
It's honestly too early to make the call because I think the Packers have a light enough schedule. They finished in 3rd
The
last
only
year.
way they can. Well, that brings us to tonight.
That brings us
Can
to
they?
tonight.
Can they?
Yes, they
Can they go? Are they at home?
Let's pick
Or
it.
at
Here we
Lambeau
go.
tonight, or no?
They're in Vegas tonight.
Green
in
Bay
Vegas.
is heading to Las Vegas to play the Raiders on Monday Night Football. Las Vegas is a 2.5-point favorite in this game. The over-under isn't on here for some reason.
It's 45.5.
45.5. Now I see it.
Okay.
Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play.
Okay.
Okay. Aaron Jones is going to play.
No, he's not.
He's not.
That has since changed. He practiced all week and he fucked me in a major fantasy matchup.
He's fucked too.
Yeah, I prepped for it. I put him in my flex. He's not going to play.
Jair Alexander
Is playing.
is playing. And Devontae Adams has his first game against the Packers since leaving there. What do we think? You want to go?
I'm going to take the Raiders in the under.
Why? Because Aaron Jones isn't playing?
Partly.
Okay.
Partly. I think Jimmy G is going to show everybody the truth that he should have been the guy in San Francisco.
And I think the exact opposite. I think Jimmy G is going to show why he wasn't the guy anywhere he's been. And I still think the Packers are viable. I think they have a pulse. I think that they were a lot better than they showed against the Lions. And I think if you give Jordan Love X amount of days like he's had off, that they're going to show out. There's something about the Packers in the Monday night primetime, not Thursday, but the Monday night primetime. I think that
Watch out for Josh Jacobs tonight. Going to have a game.
Josh Jacobs, do you think he's off tonight? This one's tricky for me.
Packers cover. Packers
David
win outright.
Montgomery pounded the shit out of them. Josh Jacobs is going to.
I'm going to take the Green Bay in this game. I don't know if I trust Garoppolo at the moment, and it's as simple as that because I think this is truly a toss-up game right now. I think not having Aaron Jones is a huge disadvantage. Honestly, I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to come right down to the wire. I'm going to take the under 45 points in this game, though. I just don't think.
Yeah, I got the under too.
I don't think there's going to be enough juice there. Other than that, does anybody have anything to add before we close out?
No, I want to do. I want to talk college on Wednesday. We can't avoid Michigan football anymore.
Wednesday, I promise you, I will let you two fight about Michigan football. Uncle Sam, anything to add?
Dog shit.
We broke a record today. 2-hour show. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls podcast. Thank you for everyone who contributed today in the comments and watched us live. Make sure to check out our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please check us out on YouTube. Remember to ring the bell and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. You will hear from us on Wednesday.